The road to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series comes through the Lone Star State to kick off the 2014-2015 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series presented by Double Clutch here tonight, coming to you on LSRTV. It is going to be a packed house, and it is going to be fun. Good evening, race fans, and welcome to LSRTV. We're ready to go here from Texas Motor Speedway. 250 tonight on tap for the Madwire 250, the opening race of the 14-15 iRacing.com Pro Series. I'm Jacob Seelman, and alongside Evan Pasoko, the two of us going to be up here in the broadcast booth to bring you all the action of the next 10 races beginning tonight here for the iRacing.com Pro Series, and we've got an all-star cast of characters getting ready to join us throughout the Double Clutch pre-race show as we count you down to 250 miles and the green flag set to take place at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. Qualifying coming up in about 10 minutes, and as I look to my left here, Evan Pasoko, I'm going to start with you because we have got a lot to talk about tonight and about 25 minutes to do it in before we drop the green flag to kick off the road to the Peak Antifreeze Series. 50 drivers trying to qualify for 43 spots. No one is safe, and everyone is fighting for a spot to be locked in to the 14-15, or rather to the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. 20 drivers will qualify. 21 through 30 will have the chance to qualify for the go or go home spots. 3 of those going to be available in next season's Peak Antifreeze Series, and I'm ready to kick it all off. And what better place to do it than Texas?
The Texas Motor Speedway, Jacob, being one of the fastest 1.5s on iRacing, it's always a very exciting racetrack to go to. It's always very tricky, so one of the best racetracks to get this kicked off with. But you touched on it there. That's probably one of the biggest storylines that we have to look at going into this, is the fact of those go or go home positions. 50 drivers have had to work their way through their point. A lot of these guys, Jacob, the first-time pros, they're going to be pretty nervous coming up here in just under 9 minutes when they have to go into that qualifier. You don't have, the leniency of a 15-minute open qual, go out there and knock a couple laps off, and then really go for it. 2 laps is all you get. You cannot afford any mistake. There's favorites, but they are not safe. Every single driver is going to have to fight. 7 of them aren't even going to be able to take the green tonight.
And it's a high-pressure, high-stress situation that we're walking into here tonight. And to my right, I have got one person who knows all about high-pressure, high-stress situations, and he's going to be the 3rd member of our booth crew here. That, of course, being the 2014 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion, the youngest NASCAR-sanctioned champion in the Series' 65-year history and the 5-year history of the iRacing Oval World Championship, Michael Conti. Mike, first off, glad to have you in the LSR TV booth. I'm excited to get ready to kick this Pro Series off, and you have never had to sit behind the wheel for one of these Pro Series races, at least not in quite some time, but for you, it allows you a lot of perspective because you've been through probably more pressure than these guys are sitting in right now in those final championship races at the end of this past Peak Series season. But at the same time, you can sympathize with what they're going to have to go through here in the next 20 or 25 minutes before we kick this off.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a ton of pressure on these guys tonight. They've worked for 26 weeks earlier on in the year to get to this point where they can compete for a spot in the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. The last time I raced one of these pro races was back in 2012, I believe it was. 2011, 2012, I was in that Pro Series, and we started off at Texas, and I ended up on my lid 17 laps into the race. So these things are crazy. It's the first race, all these guys. It's going to be their first time in a group together racing against each other. So people aren't going to be quite used to what the other guy around them is going to do, so that usually causes some pretty exciting stuff to take place in the track. So it's going to be a great race. I'm glad that I don't have to compete tonight for a spot in next year's NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. My teammate, Brian Schoenberg in the 55 car, he's going to be here tonight. So I just have to hope that he can get through here clean. Up on the crew chief stand, if you will. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. We just want a clean night for him, and everybody's going to be looking at it like that. I mean, a win tonight would be great to start somebody's season off, but a clean race and a solid top 10 would do a lot for the rest of somebody's season.
It really would. And Evan, let's talk about this for a second because Michael touched on it. 20 drivers who locked themselves into next year's Peak Series season by finishing in the top 20 in points at the end of the 2014 point season. All the rest, 29 drivers strong, dropped down to this NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series, and they're joined by the top 20 from the NIS earlier this season, 26 weeks worth of racing to get their spots here, the Road to Pro, they call it. So now we have 50 drivers, and boy, you have 50 drivers, a lot of first-timers, but a lot of first-timers with a lot of speed, too, from what we've seen in some of these recent practice sessions and all the build-up to tonight, the Madwire 250. So it's not a question of whether we're going to see some drama tonight. It's a question of who's going to walk out with the first trophy, because there's probably 25 guys who could logistically go into this and walk away with a win.
And we've seen in years past here with the Pro Series that you can go out there and, dominate this season, but it could be that slow start that really digs you that hole. And having this 10-race season, not a lot of time to be able to recover. You do have that one drop week that's going to be into effect here for this championship, but you can always start off a season on a positive note. Equally as importantly, you could start off on a bad note. And it's almost, you could relate it, Jacob, to the Daytona 500. Drivers go into that race. This could be the Daytona per se of this Pro Series, starting it off at Texas. You want to be able to get that win. You want to give it a little bit more. You want to give those sponsors on the side of your car, make them proud. But in the back of the mind, the part that gets over-trumped is the fact that this is racing for points. And all of this is going to play into effect, not only obviously get a battle for the Pro Series championship, but also, again, that top 20 cutoff that will be able to be locked into the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series races.
And of course, as the season wears on, we will talk a lot more about the points because they get more and more and more critical. And this is a subject now as we move down the schedule. It just seems like the intensity keeps ratcheting up, Evan. And let's take a look at some of these tracks that these 10 guys, or rather these 50 guys over 10 races, are going to have to navigate. And something that immediately sticks out to me is the fact of after 9 races, nothing's decided because for the first time in recent memory, we have a true wild card to close everything. It seems like in this case, the appropriate phrase would be all roads lead to Daytona. And that, of course, is where the Pro Series finale is going to be and a champion going to be crowned. Nobody going to be safe in that top 20 to lock themselves in because Daytona, we know how quickly it can eat up cars. You're going to have to be on your game coming into that last race. And, of course, Watkins Glen, we tried it last year. It worked, and it ended up on the Peak Antifreeze Series schedule as well. The road courses are always wild cards as well.
Daytona is really going to be a game changer. And you talk about the Homestead Miami Speedway, which is typically reserved for the championship finale races. Jacob, that's going to be coming up in 3 weeks. That's going to be race number 3. So you could almost look at it as a inverted, reversed schedule per se. But with Daytona at the end, Daytona is typically the wild card race. You go into that just looking to survive. It's really going to put these teams on their edge because you can't go into that race trying to survive. You know what you have to do at that point to either lock up the championship or lock up that top 20 in points. Daytona is going to be a wild one. You know teamwork is so important at the plate tracks. Definitely think that's going to be one of those that you have to highlight. As well, you said Watkins Glen. Always love going out to those road courses. No cautions, pretty much going to be nose green all the way. That's going to be an exciting one. A lot of strategy. Qualifying going to be at a premium in those, but you got a lot of other great racetracks in here as well. Richmond going to be going to the short track just past the halfway point in this season. You go back to the high banks of Charlotte. You got the Monster Mile in there as well. Phoenix coming up in 1 week's time as well, kind of correlating a little bit there with the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. So a lot of great races coming up on this season, and I really do like the selection of tracks that they put out for this 2014-2015 campaign.
It's going to be a fun 10 weeks. It goes from now to January 20th. Going to be that finale at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, and we have got a lot more conversation ahead. Qualifying getting ready to come up next. So because of that, we're going to take care of some business right here on the Double Clutch pre-race show and take a quick break. When we come back, more conversation. We'll see if we can't dial up a couple of drivers to talk to, and then we'll get set for 167 laps from the Lone Star State. It's the Madwire 250 from Texas Motor Speedway, kicking off the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series here on LSRTV, and we'll be right back.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
That one.
Welcome back to the Double Clutch pre-race show as we count you down to the start of tonight's Mad Wire 250 from Texas Motor Speedway. It's the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series presented by Double Clutch. I'm Jacob Seelman here in the broadcast booth for LSRTV alongside Evan Pasoko and 2014 NASCAR Pecan and Free Series champion Michael Conti, and our pit road crew going to slide in here in just a couple of minutes. Qualifying underway right now, Evan, for this first round of the Pro Series, and already we see 50 drivers scrambling for all they're worth. And right now, the names at the top of the board, some of them surprising, perhaps, some of them absolutely not surprising at all.
We got the lap times that are closing in. Right now, the fastest provisionally in my session, again, qualifying is being divided up into two different sections of groups. Right now, fastest right now, 27.709 for Corey Vincent. Bad news, however, for one of the drivers, Dwayne Vincent, driver of the number 02 machine. Fastest lap that's going to go through, a 42.6. So obviously, Dwayne having some severe issues, Jacob, and you can pretty much count that 02 machine out of the opening race, not what the Vincent camp was looking for. And it's one of those things that comes to with having a two-lap closed qualifier is you can't afford a mistake. A lot of these guys, we talked about before we went to break, you got guys coming in from the NASCAR Pecan Free Series. There's also people, Jacob, that they've been going at this sim racing for years. This right now is one of the biggest moments that they've ever had on sim racing.
Yeah. And actually, your session right now, Evan, that 27, basically 7 flat is not just the fastest provisional lap in your session. Right now, that would be provisional pole. Stephen Gilbert, the 37 machine right now, sitting fastest in session number 2 at a 27.765. Mitchell Hunt about 100.5 off in the number 19. Alex Scribner for Gale Force Racing, he's up in the mix. And looking on down this list, Andrew Fash the third, the 77 machine, he's at risk right now at a 28 flat. Brandon Coppinger, a 28.106. Some of those guys, a 28's going to be very, very tough. I don't know that that's going to make it in this field right now. Those three, Shane Miller, Andrew Fash the third, Brandon Coppinger, and Brandon Hoff has not yet taken a lap in this session. They're the bottom four, and they're at risk right now. I don't think a 28's going to cut it.
We just had the final driver down on our end of things here, put down a time, and it was Brandon Chaburko. He was the final car to go out. He'll get 19th in this session, so that's going to be right on that border of making it. Again, you're going to have to be looking with 43 cars making this field. Those guys around 20th, and we heard a lot of the drivers that were talking, a 27.8 should be fine. Right now, that cutoff between the 8 and a 0.9 is between 18th and 19th position, so I think the drivers predicting that before the race tonight pretty much right on the money in that regard, Jacob, but it's going to be close here. A lot of guys down in the 22, 23s. You got guys like Jordy Lopez, Brandon Schmidt, Joshua Lawton. Those guys going to be on the bubble, and it's all going to have to do with once we put these times all together from the two sessions to see who's going to make the show.
Yeah, and right now, still seeing actually Brandon Hoff, the number 23 Viper Chevrolet SS. He has just rolled onto the speedway to take a lap. Right now, we're just under the track or just over, the track record of 27.686. That was set by Jared Crawford. So just a skosh off the all-time track record for the Pro Series here at Texas. But waiting to see where Brandon Hoff clocks in right now. And he is on his flying lap 2:04. Down into turn number 1. So there's no argument. These guys have got speed. It's just a matter of putting it together over a mile and a half.
And now all the 25 drivers, so the half of the field that was over in my qualifying session, they have all completed their laps. And again, it is still Corey Vincent on the provisional pole. We know a couple of drivers still need to wrap things up. Jacob, on your side, there is still 8 minutes left that these drivers can work with in the 15, or actually 10-minute qualifier. So only a minute left. So these guys got to knock out the laps if they have not done so already. But it looks like going to come up short of you guys talking about the track record there. 27.709. Fastest right now, Corey Vincent, the number 10 machine. Interested enough to note, that is about 3/100ths faster than anybody else. We got a tie right now for P4 on this side of things. Both Brandon Vuby and Timo Uvolian going to be going with a .790. So things really tight, but that 0.8 second range that the drivers were trying to hit all week long, that's where things get real interesting, and that's where the cuts are going to be made.
Yeah, and I'm looking at 3 guys down on my end, Evan, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, all sitting below the 28-second mark. And I have to imagine that is not going to cut it at all. I'm not sure what the back end of Session 1 looks like, but I'm seeing Shane Miller, Andrew Fay, Ashbrand, and Coppinger as my 3 guys who I'm thinking right now with about 10 seconds to go doesn't look like any more runs. There's nobody on track. Looks like I'd say they're at least 3 of our 7 that are not going to make tonight's Mad Wire 250.
The drivers that are in jeopardy for sure that are going to be looking for the official times to come out is going to be all these guys. You got Thomas Davis, I said, Jordy Lopez Jr., Brandon Schmidt, Joshua Lott, and Dwayne Vincent. Those guys are in the .9s on back. Brandon Chaburko 19th with a 27.903 right now in the session. So 25 drivers taking a time. That's half of the 50-car field in here tonight. So if it was to go pretty fairly, it would be Lopez on back, 22nd on back. However, obviously with the times fluctuating between the two servers that have gone up, not going to know until we get the official word, but it looks like that those drivers that are outside of the 27.8 range are going to be in jeopardy. But if you're not going to be able to knock off a 27 at all, these guys that did not nail their laps, the 28s, and especially Dwayne Vincent, who had some serious issues with a 42-second lap time, that could stem from having a spin. However, if you got an incident point, your lap time wouldn't count. Anything from that to also some sort of connection issue could be causing those issues. But Vincent, the only car that we can guarantee is not going to be in the show, 42-second lap time.
Mike, you've been here, you've done that, and we know Texas is a very unforgiving racetrack, whether it's qualifying or the race. It's very different compared to many of the other mile-and-a-half tracks that we run. I know people call these mile-and-a-halves cookie cutters, but they're not, especially this double dogleg at Texas. It's a very unique racetrack. It's a very abrasive racetrack. From the driver's seat, from your perspective, talk about a couple of the keys to the race tonight, because we know it's not going to be an easy 250 miles.
No, not at all. It's a really tough track. Like you said, it's very abrasive. The pavement is some of the oldest pavement on the series, on the schedule for the series. So you just got to keep that thing in the bottom. Cannot get up off the bottom. Have to hold it on the bottom so you don't get freight trained. So these guys are going to be fighting for that preferred groove, and if they get out of it, then it's going to really send them to the back fast.
And looking at this now, Mike, obviously 250 miles, we know a lot can happen. We know it's not going to be won in the first 20 laps like we've seen. We've seen the early parts of some of these races turn into caution fests, and that's not what we want to see tonight. That's not what we're hoping to see tonight. Another thing that I've thought about, too, even going back to some of the races that you and I talked about at the tail end of the Peak Antifreeze series this year, it's patience. It's patience, and it's knowing that you're not going to win it in the first 30 laps. You've got to hold your ground, but at the same time, you've not got to make those bonsai moves so early that you end up later in a position where you've got some damage, or you just don't end up where you need to be for that stretch run at the end.
Yeah, it's all about positioning in this series. I mean, that's what the whole series is really here for. You're positioning yourself to get in to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series. It's not about winning the most races or really lighting the world on fire. We've seen that happen in the past, and guys that have done that haven't really done all that much in the NPAS. So everybody's here tonight to get solid runs. That's really all they need to be here for. Now, if you got a really good car and you need to go for the win, then that's an added bonus. That's more fun to them, more power to them. Good job to them and everybody that's on their team. But you can't do anything dumb tonight that's going to take your chances away this early in the season. There's 9 races to go after this, and you have to make the most of them.
That's exactly what we're doing. It's called making the most of everything you got, and it starts right here. Evan Pasoko, I want to go to you first now because we're about a minute away from gridding everything up here and looking at this now. Obviously, we've talked about everything except who we're keeping an eye on tonight. And I know one of the guys you're keeping an eye on actually has dropped down to the Pro Series from the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, and we know he's a threat to win. He actually won during this year's Peak Antifreeze Series season.
Yeah, the pick that I'm going to go with tonight, and the voice of the community, and obviously everybody has been throwing out their predictions. The hype building up to this has been for quite some time, but the favorite going into this by the fans, by everybody on iRacing, by fellow drivers, has been Joey Brown outstandingly. Everybody's going to be looking at him, as you said, coming down to this series. He ran Peak. He got the win in this past 2014 season. Taking a look for him, he's obviously going to be one of the drivers that you have to know is going to be a threat into tonight's race. So keep an eye on Joey Brown out there on track.
And for the first time tonight, I want to go down to the pit lane and bring in the fourth member of our broadcast crew, Petey Zeller, down there on pit road. And Petey, talk about names. I think you've got a little bit of a dark horse in mind for tonight to keep an eye on at Texas.
Oh, I was hanging out on pit road with the fast lane guys, getting some information, and Logan Kress apparently has a tradition going into big races. He likes to put a Gatorade in the freezer, saying that gives him good luck. So I got to go with the lucky Gatorade. I'm picking Logan Kress tonight.
Gotta love superstitions, Jacob.
Yeah, you do have to love superstitions. Mike, you don't have any superstitions, do you?
No, I just turn my air conditioner off so it doesn't disconnect my wheel. That's more of a necessity than a superstition. But guys, we cannot overlook who's going to be starting on the pole tonight. I've seen this guy come up through the ranks. Everybody at Jay's Show and all of the top DWC teams have been scouting talent, if you will, that could be a threat next year. And Corey Vincent's going to do something big tonight. I don't know how good of a race setup he's got, but that qualifying time is extremely fast, and look for him to be up front contending tonight.
I'll take that. Corey Vincent sitting on the pole here this evening. And I've got to say, I like the number 1, and I'm going to go a different route than Mike did to get to my number 1 for tonight. I'm actually going with a guy who's got a 1 on the side of his car, and it's another guy that's dropped down from the Peak Series that I think is going to be one to watch, and that's Tyler Hudson. So I'll go with one of the former champions to pick up the victory at Texas tonight. And before we go green, I'm going to slip in a quick commercial break here for our sponsors and partners. And when we come back, the Madwire 250 kicks off from Texas. This is LSRTV and the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Welcome back to the Madwire 250 from Texas Motor Speedway. Cars are rolling, and Evan Pasoko, Corey Vincent on the pole, Joey Brown to his outside. We are set to roll here down the starting grid.
Greg McKinney going to be starting P3, Stephen Gilbert in 4th.
Mitchell Hine in the 19, he's 5th. Tinu Ivonen is 6th tonight in the 99.
Brandon Boo going to be rolling off P7, 8th for Tyler Hill.
9th is Alex Scribner, the 50. 10th tonight, NASCAR Nationwide Series driver Josh Berry.
Taylor Hurst going to be starting inside row 6. That's 11th, 12th, and Nathan Wise.
13th, Justin Trombley. 14th, Tyler Hudson, the 2012 Peak Series champ, or 2013 Peak Series champ.
Alan Bowe's going to be rolling 15th. Nicholas Moore, 16th.
Brandon Hawk, 17th. Ryan Lowe, 18th. David Radler, Trey Eidson, the rest of the top 20. Rich Doucette, Casey Tucker, Brian Schoenberg, Kwame Ajay, 24th, and Patrick Crabtree, Evan, the rest of the top 25. Some heavy hitters outside that top 25, though. I'm keeping my eye on Benjamin Burmeister and Kevin King back there around 30th here in the early going.
Pace cars off, and we get set. Green flag in the air. The Madwire 250 from Texas. It's underway, and we are set as the top 3-4 now single file down into quarter number 1.
Down into 1, the early lead going to that number 10. The pole sitter, Corey Vincent. Joey Brown in the 12 slots in right behind him, about a car length. Front 6 or so are single file. Now the battle's going to be on for P4 behind the front 3.
They're going to fight for it. 99 machine is up top, going the wrong direction. How about the 88 machine going through? Josh Berry to the inside. He'll get clear, and he will take position number 10 at the start-finish line as they battle here. Back at a pack right now, our leader so far, single file for side-by-side battle. Now sees Tyler Hill. His CBR entry has been shuffled up to the outside lane, and it is again the 88 of Josh Berry on the attack here early, back to the inside in 3.
Yeah, you want to talk about a game of teammates. It's going to be that here all night, and we'll be talking about it in a little bit. Josh Berry making the move to the inside. He is going forward in a big hurry. He just took P8 away, and Tyler Hill dropping back there in the number 9. He rides 9th right now, so the 88, he's on the move early. That JRM Speedco machine is fast.
And we've seen that number 9's machine be going the wrong direction. Still up top, has some challengers down to the inside. 74 of Taylor Hurst to the inside, through clear. And now it is the 01. Tyler Hudson going to pick up that spot at a quarter number 4. 9 machine wants to find a spot in line. Not going to be able to do so as the 17 Ford to the inside. An aggressive move, Justin Trombley. Not allowing the number 9 of Hill to shut the door. He gets back to the inside. And their guy's going to duke it out for P12 and 1 and 2 advantage to the 17 on the inside. Bobble 53 car sideways. Brandon Hockey hangs on.
He hangs on for the moment, but that had to be a really nervous moment for the RacerBoost.com number 53, and he was about 45 degrees sideways, Mike. We talked about it. Turn 2 and how abrasive some of those bumps are. That's going to be the problem area of this racetrack all night long.
Yeah, it certainly is. The way the banking falls off of turn 2, you carry a lot of speed, especially with how cool it is out here tonight. You're carrying a bunch of speed, you got a bunch of wheel into it, and then boom, the banking falls away, the wall comes up, and you really have to crank a bunch more wheel into it. So that causes a really bad push-loose condition, which a lot of people are going to fight tonight. But everybody right now is doing a good job. They're just trying to settle in, and it looks like some good racing right now so far.
Hang on tight, because I'm watching some guys. I mean, you talk about movers and shakers in the early going. Evan, we were talking about Josh Berry, the number 88 machine. He struggled in the Peak Antifreeze Series this past season. Didn't run a full schedule, but he's been great everywhere else. Picked up 11 wins this season in a NASCAR-style late model for Junior Motorsports, and is going to be running in a week's time the NASCAR Nationwide Series finale from Homestead, Miami. So Berry making it happen away from the sim console and making it happen on the track right now as well. He is closing on 7th place, and that car looks very solid off that exit of turn number 2, which is where we've talked about is going to be the problem corner. We saw it all week here at Texas, and we're seeing it again tonight. Keeping an eye on it now. 8 laps going in the books. Mike, we're watching this, and actually what we're watching is a freight train from about fifth or so on back here, fourth on back through about eighth place. We've got 5 cars and just waiting on somebody to make a move here. The question is, what do? Do you step out of line first? Do you be the first one to try to make that move, either to the inside or to the outside if you really think you have a run? Or do you just wait to have somebody else try to punch the hole for you?
I mean, if you think that you can make a move, then might as well go for it. I mean, this isn't Talladega or Daytona where you need somebody to help you, obviously. There's really nothing more you have to think about than yourself and what you need to do to, progress up to the field. And, if there's a hole, I hate to sound too corny here, but if there's a hole, you got to really kind of go for it. Preferably off a corner. Try to get a run up off a corner and, complete the pass into a corner, not the other way around, especially this early. But you just got to do it on the bottom, though. That's the key tonight. Just stay on the bottom. If you get to the top, you're going to the back. There is no second or third groove rubbered in right now, and it won't rubber in. It's going to be like that the whole race. So you just got to stay right on the bottom, and hopefully your car's good down there, because that's where you have to make time tonight.
And as we continue to watch this battle, Evan Pasoko, I want to bring you back in here because we're watching about a 5-car scramble from fourth on back, and it just seems like we're watching guys who we know they're not afraid to make a move. It's just a matter of, like Michael said, timing that move, like Josh Berry just did a minute ago to plunge into the 7th position. It's all about timing the moves, and 2 guys, Josh Barrett, Tyler Hudson, we've talked about both of them. They're the early movers, and they've been able to really make the holes and have people following them through to charge their way to the front.
Yeah, a little bit further back, and don't want to get left out in this. Hamilton number 1 machine, Richard Doucette, Jacob, sits right now in 14th, started back in 21st position. So a lot of these drivers not maybe getting the qual runs that resembled what they were looking for, or maybe just a little bit of a stronger race set. Going to go side by side, actually, right in front of Richard here. 2 cars going to be going at it once again. The 17 machine, Justin Trombley. The 50 car is the one up top. That's Alex Scribner. He has company now. The 9 car going to try to get the nose to the inside, unable to hold that position, and single file out. Now 50 catches the wall. That opens up the door for Hill back to the inside once again, trying to keep a nose. This battle going on right now for P12.
Yeah, and almost a little bit of contact. Tyler Hill just used Alex Scribner up on that inside lane. Tyler, the brother of NASCAR Sprint Cup and Nationwide Series driver Timmy Hill. Tyler returning to the Pro Series, and that 9 car, Mike, we saw him, he wiggled a little bit, but that would be what you call using somebody right all the way for what they're worth here in the early going.
Yeah, Tyler, he's kind of gotten a reputation through the NIS season as an aggressive guy, and that's perfectly fine. Aggressiveness is good, and that'll definitely get you places. It's got to be done at the right time. 15 laps into a race, maybe it's a little bit too early for contact, but the 50 seems to be backing up really fast right now. Maybe just misjudged the closing rate, on his door off of 4, because things get really tight there. So no harm, no foul. Hill's still going forward, and unfortunately Scribner's headed to the back real quick now.
Yeah, and another guy that's headed to the back is the number 80 machine. Brandon Cattell. Want to follow up on this, Evan, because Cattell now, he only completed 4 laps before problems for that number 80 machine. He is on pit road with heavy damage, and he's another one of those peak antifreeze series guys who dropped down, and this is not the way he wanted to start his race at all.
I was qualified in the number 29 position, was single file in 3 and 4, and something happened to get that 80 machine torn up. Couldn't find it on my sim there. He blinked out on my end, but the front end is torn up. He's down on pit road right now. Obviously going to be getting some extensive damage repairs, and you can tell he's trying to get it fixed because he's still sitting in the car. If he was behind the wall, you would not see. So right now he's sitting in the car. He's trying to get that damage fixed. It has translated to dropping him now 13 laps out of it and continuing to fall. One more car going to go down 1 lap. It is David Rattler. Wanted to make note of this, Jacob, but we were getting through the grid there. Was scheduled to qualify 19th. Started from pit road, something that some of the drivers were a little bit wary of, considering a lot of them maybe fearing what you would expect to see maybe at a plate track, a big one per se on the start, with a lot of drivers not used to each other racing. He elected to start from pit road. That call not working out for the 09 Main Performance PC Ford Fusion. He's 1 lap down, and he's 42nd position.
And it makes it an early struggle. If you dig yourself a hole, the best part you can hope for is that you've got time to make it up. And it's one of those situations is we've got guys starting to chop the front ends a little bit here going down into turn number 1, but it's a situation where if you're in a hole, you've got time to dig out of it unless you've got some serious damage like the 80 of Patel is. But Evan, one of the battles I'm keeping an eye on right now is the number 29 machine. That's Kevin King, who's getting ready to come off of turn number 4 here. Kevin is making no bones about trying to get around the number 50 of Alex Scribner, and he goes to the inside as we come through the double dogleg and head for turn number 1. He about chopped to the outside of that 50 last time across the stripe. He's making no friends here in the early going. That 29 machine, the team as they call it. For a while, Kevin didn't expect to be running the Pro Series, but they've ended up with a deal. He is in the race, and he is moving forward. And actually, he was the big winner at Texas for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series back in April. So you talk about another guy who could easily make some noise tonight. He's up 10 spots, and he knows how to win here, Michael. That was a race that you finished second, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I had a pretty good view of the final laps of that race where Kevin was able to get around the spinning cars of, I believe it was Chad Lawton and Ray Alfala going for the lead, and he got around that. But I mean, he was quick all night. You know, it's not like he just got lucky or anything. He was really good that night, and a crummy qualifying effort to say the least for Kevin. But you know, I think he's more concerned about the race, and he's definitely going forward right now. So, 29 car looks really good, and so does the one. His teammate Rich Doucette's going in the same direction. So those guys look like they have something pretty good in the long run tonight.
And the long run right now, we've actually gone 22 laps from the drop of the green flag. We've not seen the caution yet tonight. And Evan, that allows us to take a look at where the positions are starting to shake out here in the early going. But the pole sitter, he's not shook out anywhere. He has just left this field. He and Joey Brown have. They've got about a second lead. Corey Benson first, Joey Brown second. Then it's a second back to the 19 of Mitchell Hunt, who rides third. Greg McKinney, the 20 machine, is fourth, and fifth right now, the 54 machine, that's Brandon Bowie. Josh Berry is up 4 spots to the number 6 position. Stephen Gilbert, the 37, is 7th. Tyler Hudson, the 01, he's 8th. 9th, the 17, Justin Cromley, and 10th is Nathan Wise, Evan. So we're seeing some familiar names, and we're seeing some new names here at the top of the double clutch leaderboard early in the going. But Corey Vincent has just looked masterful in that number 10 machine. He leads this party, and he's not let Joey Brown really get anywhere close so far.
Yeah, Brown's been hanging back about 2/10 for the majority of this race, and now just starting to slide back 3600ths off of the number 10 machine, who continues to lead this race. We talk about drivers who have been able to pick their way through the fields, the Josh Berrys, the Tyler Hudson so far, equally, and excluding those two that we talked about, Patel and Rattler, who have lost their laps. We have a couple of guys that have had some issues here in the opening runs. Tyler Hill, the number 9 machine, one of the cars that we documented, got stuck up top after starting in a decent qualifying position. He finds himself back in 13th after starting 8th. Put Timo Lavonen in that category as well, qualified 6th, has slid back to 16th, and another one, Alex Scribner, started top 10 at number 9 spot. That Plan B sales machine that we've been following has finally been able to get back down in line. He'll have to settle for losing 11 positions. He's back to 20th, and with no security, because as we say, that Trey Edson to the inside.
Yeah, Trey Edson in that number 6 machine trying to make a move on Scribner, and those are two names that we've seen take some shots during the Peak Antifreeze Series season earlier this year. And I'm watching another battle now back around the 10th position. I'm watching the number 1 machine, Rich Doucette, Nathan Wise, who just lost a spot. Doucette's just clawed his way in the top 10 in that orange number 1 machine. I'm so used to seeing that car. It was blue for most of the Peak Antifreeze Series season, different colors for the Pro Series. And Rich Doucette, he has made a very nice charge where we saw Scribner go back 11 positions. Rich Doucette now up 11 positions, and he rides at the back set of that top 10 now. And Mike, we're seeing who can make passes and who can't right now, because the guys who are moving, they're moving in a big way.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of comers and goers tonight. I did a little bit of testing with Brian this week, just trying to help him out as much as I could, even though I'm obviously not racing tonight. But there was a lot of give and take as far as the setup goes. A really fast short run setup would get really tight, so we had to back that off a lot, slow down the hot lap speed, but we found a lot of latter part of the run speed. So I think a lot of these guys are going to have like half the field are going to be quick for the first half the run, and then they might fall off a little bit more than the rest of the guys, and they might get shuffled back a little bit by guys that are coming a little bit faster, like Rich and Kevin and even Brian right now starting to actually pass a couple of people, which is good to see. But it's a long race, and the way that DWC went last year, we had a lot of long green runs toward the end of the season, so I think these guys really had that in mind going into the race. So I think their setups and the speed will be adjusted accordingly.
Somebody got to add to that category for sure. The number 88, Josh Berry, somebody that we've been talking about, has been picking his way through the field, has just put a move on the number 20 Chevrolet of Greg McKinney. So move Josh Berry now up inside the top 4, and he is one of the closest cars to our leaders of this main pack of cars per se. It is 4th position on back, where you're getting the intervals of a handful of cars within every second differential to the leaders. But the top 3 really spread out. Vincent has now been able to open up the gap on Joey Brown right now to what's 43 hundredths of a second to top 2. Nearly a second back from Brown. Mitchell Hunt, 1.2 off of our race leader. He's driving around. He has the 09 machine, that lap car of David Rattler tucked up right behind him as they run. Then it's a huge, about 2.1 second gap from Mitchell Hunt in 3rd to the 4th place machine of Josh Berry. That puts Berry over 3 seconds out of it for the top spot, something that is a product of all this green flag racing.
It is a product of this green flag racing right now, and actually we're seeing everybody really start to spread themselves out throughout this field. Nathan Wise is trapped on the high side right now in car number 24. He is about to lose another spot. He just lost one to Nicholas Morse in the Madwire machine. He's about to lose another one to the 74 of Taylor Hurst, and a 3rd position to the 53, the Racer Boost machine of Brandon Hawks. So you talk about Nathan Wise. He started decently in this field and was able to make some moves early, but he's fallen now back a little bit behind where he started this race. Started from position number 12, and now I think is going to cycle through about 15th or 16th place. So Nathan Wise, he's got some work to do in the 24, and with 34 laps complete, Evan, before too long, 15 or 20 laps, we're going to be talking green flag pit stops if they keep this up.
And that's where things are going to get pretty hectic. You're going to see, and not so much in the first round of stops here, but maybe later on, if this thing continues to go green, you'll see the short pit strategy. You'll see drivers trying to stay out, stretch that fuel cell as long as they can, hoping to not get caught a lap down by a possible caution when they get all those cars out going different speeds. It is challenging to get down on pit road there. You got to let those drivers know behind you, because if you don't have the proper communication, if somebody's queued up at the wrong time as you, it's very easy to have another driver get into your back end there, getting down pit road. We're hearing that may be one of the issues that the 80 machine of Brandon Catella has had. We're hearing that he is back out on track. So an example of one of those issues that could have been had there. But we have a couple cars, Jacob, that are really in some big trouble. Alex Scribner, this time by the start-finish line, 30th position. He was a top 10 car. Not sure what's going on in the Plan B Sales Toyota, but big trouble. He is sliding backwards and doing it in a hurry. He's now slid all the way about 12 seconds back from our race leaders.
Yeah, but you talk about it. He's one of the guys who's having problems. One of the guys who is not having problems is the number 10, Corey Vincent, who leads this race by 3/4 of a second. Joey Brown, Mitchell Hunt, Josh Berry, the 88s move to 4th, and Greg McKinney rounds out the top 5 in the Madwire 250 from Texas Motor Speedway here on LSRTV. We're going to take a break and be back for green flag pit stops right after this. We'll go side by side so you won't miss a thing. Stay with us.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the iRacing.com Pro Series presented by Double Clutch here from Texas Motor Speedway. It's the Madwire 250, the opening round of the 2014-2015 Pro Series. Jacob Seelman, Evan Pasoko, Michael Conti in the broadcast booth. And what you're taking a look at right now, Evan, we had an incident back on lap 9. Missed it, caught some damage on a couple of these race cars earlier on, and now we're seeing the consequences. A couple of those guys who are now outside the top 30.
Yeah, Matt Spangler right now sits P33. He had some contact. That was back on lap number 9. We took a replay of it, and down on pit road, Pete, you got an update on that?
Oh yeah, the 7 got into me pretty hard. Gave 7 some front end damage, the 25 some rear end damage. Seems to be affecting the cars, and it's a very tough situation. Do not want to get damaged this early, but moving forward, they should be able to get the damage fixed and hopefully be competitive again.
Leader is in. That 10 machine, we've seen him off top this whole time. He's going to give that up here, working lap number 47, and he's coming down on pit road towards you, Petey. Let's cover the stop.
Yes, and he got in the pit stall hard there, pit road, and very hard. Got his car slowed down just in time, 50 miles per hour. iRacing recently brought the pit road speed up 5 miles per hour. So he has a long way to go down pit road to try to find his pit box. As he does, he has to get in, making sure he does not miss it, and he gets right on that line, getting all he can get in that pit stall. And it looks like he's going to get some right side tires on that car as they put fuel into it, and the jack man is going to run around, jack the car up on the left side, put left side tires on, and he's just waiting on the fuel, and he is gone. Going to leave pit road. Very solid pit stop for the 10 car.
Corey Vincent going to cycle through, and now we're seeing more pit stops. Mitchell Hunt assumed the lead. He's now on pit road along with Rich Doucette and others. Tyler Hudson going to go to the top of the leaderboard here, coming to complete lap number 48. Michael, as we watch pit stops right here, Texas Motor Speedway, toughest pit road on the sim?
It's definitely up there, Jacob. It's really tough to get on here. I'd probably say the toughest would be either Chicago or Kansas, but they're all pretty close. You don't have a lot of time to slow down, so I'm sure we'll see our fair share of entry penalties tonight. Pit road speeding on entry penalties tonight. That's what we're trying to say. But so far, so good. It looks like everybody's done a good job blowing it down, and I'm sure as the race goes on here and they have to try to get more out of it, then that's when we'll see stuff start to go wrong for them.
Tyler Hudson just brought the 0-1 down on pit road, and Kevin King assumed the lead. I would assume the 29 getting ready to come in right now. I see the 23 of Brandon Hoff. He was top 5 during this cycle, and yes, Kevin King, Brandon Hoff among those on pit road. Petey.
Kevin King got really on a pit road, almost won the car out, but got in nonetheless, barely made his pit stall. He had a rough stop here getting his car up. Going to take 4 tires, as much we're seeing with everyone else, and he is getting his gas filled up, and he is going to be away. As for Brandon Huff here, Brandon Huff is going to do the same. Cycles everyone else, 4 tires and gas, and he is going to get away. Very consistent pit stop here as we're seeing everyone get pit stops as Brian Schoenberg comes to pit road.
Schoenberg in the 55 among some of the last to make pit stops here, and by the time it all cycles out, Evan, When we get all the way done, it looks like Corey Vincent going to have about a 1 second lead. So basically this cycle of pit stops is going to put everybody basically right back where they were. Benjamin Burmeister, Sasha Wessler among the last to come down pit road here as we complete 51 of the scheduled 167 laps. We're not seeing these guys stretch pit stops as far as we thought. We thought maybe they could make it on 2 stops, but I don't think it's going to happen. You know, not to bring up one of these moments from 2014, but it draws to mind the old argument that I heard a couple of times this season between Tony Stevens and Joe Cortez. 2 stops or 3 stops. I don't think we're going to see any 2-stop strategies tonight.
Yeah, I'm not going to put up any money on that in that regard, but 66 coming down pit road now, going to give up that top spot. Benjamin Burmeister, he's coming down lap 53. That's going to put him a handful of laps short if he tried to stretch that on a 2-stop strategy. This race has given itself a green flag look to it. Everybody's been getting spread out. We've seen a lot of good, clean, and hard racing so far. If we do see a handful of cautions, Jacob, and it comes at an opportune time, possibly. But if this thing stays green, you're going to have to pit lane 2 more times, which can make things interesting because you're going to see those points in time where you're going to see people trying to stretch it, coming down at the end, 4 tires, 2 tires, gas, and go only. Well, this green flag run so far going to be good as Corey Vincent has returned to the race lead, now 9/10 over Joey Brown in second.
Yeah, it all cycles out, and the only change in the top 5, Evan, is Brandon Bowie. The 54 machine moves to position number 4 around Josh Berry. So that top 5 at least has all the same players, just one change in position. Corey Vincent, Joey Brown, Mitchell Hunt, Brandon Bowie, Josh Berry, Tyler Hill, though. Mike, we were talking about that 9 machine earlier in this race. He fell way back to about 15th early on in the going. He's clawed his way up to the top 6 now. After pit stops, he had a pretty good run down pit road, made up a few positions, and put himself at least in contention for a really solid run right now with 55 laps going up on the board.
Yeah, they played a little bit different strategy right there, Jacob. Looks like they came in on lap 45, so that was like, 2, 3, 4 laps sooner than some of the other guys closing in behind him. So he's got a short-term gain of some track position, but if that car starts to fall off quicker than everybody with fresher tires behind him, that might not really work out in the long run. Now, if we get a caution here in the next 10 or 20 laps, then that'll really help him. We'll leapfrog some spots and get that track position.
Yeah, and you talk about track position, Mike. Right now, I'm watching a hornet's nest for track position, led by Kevin King in the 29 machine, and one of the guys that was the big loser on pit road as we watch Kevin King, Trey Eidson, Alan Bose, Nathan Wise, Alex Scribner among these guys, but Greg McKinney, the 20 machine, Evan, he came in around 5th, 6th place. He's now 23rd after pit stops.
And tough break for the number 20 team. He is working some right side damage on his machine and going to try to see if we can find where that came from. Obviously making that cycle. We mentioned how he has dropped off. Not one of the drivers that had lost significant track position prior to the stops, and could be something as simple as started to get the thing wound down, and it does. He was getting it wound down on pit road, Jacob, and it was the number 1 machine who is going to be actually sporting some left front damage. The number 1 just clipped him. That's Richard Doucette, which caused the damage to both of their Chevrolets.
And we start seeing this. More and more little things adding up to cause damage to a lot of contenders, Mike. And, we talk about this Pro Series. You don't have to be perfect, but you got to be close. You only get 1 drop race, and you really don't want to have to burn that tonight. If you're a guy like Brandon Cattell that may have to use tonight as his drop race, oh boy, you're in a world of hurt here going forward for the next 9 races, because at that point you basically have to have 9 perfect runs in order to even have a shot at being top 20. You don't want to dig yourself a hole like some of these guys who have fallen back in the early going could potentially by the end of this night.
That's exactly right. A strong start is always better than a weak one. And for Brandon, David Rattler, and a few other guys back there that have had problems already early on in this race, like you said, they're going to really have to be perfect the next 9 weeks if they want a chance to make it in. They've worked extremely hard to get to this point, and I know that one bad race won't get them down, but they're going to really have to show what they've got the next 9 weeks to make it in for next year.
And just a quick reminder, we are rapidly approaching 100 laps to go here in the Madwire 250, and Today's race sponsor is Madwire, creator of Marketing 360, the #1 digital marketing platform for generating sales for small and medium-sized businesses for the duration of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. If you sign up with Marketing 360, they'll give you a free custom website valued at over $2,000 to start your inbound marketing campaign. And Madwire wants to wish good luck tonight to Nicholas Morse, driver of the number 44 Madwire machine. And thanks all the viewers out there for watching the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series on LSRTV and tonight's Madwire 250. So, Evan, we look at this now, rapidly coming up on 67 complete, 100 to go, and 150 miles left, and we've basically seen the calm before the storm because there hasn't been a storm just yet.
We've seen a lot of hard battling, but if a caution were to come out at any point now that we close in on the halfway point, not too far from this point in the race that had moved forward, once those laps start to knock down, the intensity is going to pick up. You're going to see a lot of guys give each other less room. We've seen a couple of instances where somebody's cutting off that hole. Somebody's going to go to the inside, you shut the door. They're going to give you some leniency in these opening laps, not when it's coming down to where it's going to be the final battle for position. Quick note, the number 38 of Ryan Lowe was black flagged. Believe it was for blending too soon. Down on the inside wall coming out of 2, you'll see one of those access points to get down to the infield. That is what iRacing has set as the blend line. You cannot go up onto the racing surface prior to that point. 38 machine appeared to do so by a couple of car lengths. Nonetheless, he has been black flagged, and that's going to cost him pretty dearly as he slides back in his field.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the blend line. Mike, I want to bring you in on this because obviously it's something that you as a driver have to keep an eye on. How difficult is it, and how close is that line for being there or getting that penalty? Because we know these guys are digging for every scrap of time on this racetrack that they can get, and it's a really, really fine line between, you know, making that move and picking up a tenth of a second, or making that move and ending up on pit road.
I mean, it's just like the setup balance, getting onto pit road, the balance there, it's the same thing. You have to balance out risk versus reward getting off the pit road here. There's a lot of banking changes down at the bottom off the surface, and you know, if you hit one of those wrong, they'll shoot you up on the track, and you know, that's a penalty like we saw with Ryan. So you just have to be, you know, cautiously aggressive, I guess. You know, the blend line, I don't think any of us really like it, but it's a necessity so people aren't merging in front of people and impeding the progress of people that are already at speed. So it's there for a reason. I get that, everybody gets it. You know, we're all good drivers here. All 43 of them tonight know what they're doing. They can make it work, but sometimes, like you said, when you're going for a lot, you just push too much, and you know, you just make a small mistake. But that small mistake for Ryan could cost him a lot of points tonight, which would really hurt him throughout the season if that does happen.
67 laps just went up on the leaderboard here in the Madwire 250. And Evan, I want to take a look now at the double clutch full field rundown here with 150 miles still to go at Texas. Corey Vincent, that 10 car, only time he's given up the lead is during the pit stop cycle. He leads by 1.3 seconds now over Joey Brown. Mitchell Hunt in third. Josh Berry, the JRM car, he's fourth. Tyler Hudson, the 2013 Pecan Free Series champion, in fifth. Then it's Brandon Bowie, Tyler Hill, Justin Trombley, Patrick Crabtree, and Rich Doucette, the one, has moved up into the top 10, Evan. And behind him, there's a host of drivers who would like to crack the top 10 here that have made some nice runs early.
Include the number 51 of Tyler Laughlin into that category. Started 26th, he currently holds the number 11 position. Another driver moving forward, the 53 of Brandon Hawk, sporting a little bit of rear end damage on his Chevrolet. He rides 12th, 13th machine to Timo Livone, and he slid back after starting in the top 6 position. 14th right now, sliding back one more spot. That's going to be Nicholas Morse, Madwire on his Chevrolet. 15th position to Stephen Gilbert. 16th right now is Kevin King. 17th position to Trey Eidset after starting 20th. He's picked up 3 spots. Alan Bose is 18th. 19th position. Taylor Hurst has lost 8 spots since the start of the race. Keep an eye on that number 74 machine to try to keep back going forwards towards the front. And 20th position going to be Brandon Chaburko. Good run right now for number 48 team after qualifying 32nd. Picking up some spots right now.
And I think Chaburko just lost that 20th position, slides back to the 21st spot now as Taylor Hurst gets back around him. Alex Scribner currently 22nd. 23rd, Kwame Ajay. 24th is Rob Ackley. 25th is the J-Show machine, Brian Schoenberg. Robin Williams, 26th. 27th is Benjamin Burmeister. Casey Tucker, 28th. Sasha Wessler is 29th. And rounding out the top 30 now after starting third is Greg McKinney. Report from pit road, and Michael, I know we've been monitoring the radio communications for the last little bit. Brian Schoenberg just reporting he feels like he may have a tire issue on that number 55 Pro Geek Consulting machine. Not seeing the amount of issues we thought we would have so far, but this track, obviously the high speeds, high abrasion on these tires, it's a problem that we normally expect here in Texas.
Yeah, there's a lot of cornering loads here. I mean, you're not really getting below 170 miles an hour mid-corner until the end of the run. But it just seems like for Brian, it's a pit road adjustment gone wrong. I think that went up on all 4 tires last stop to try to get that thing to work a little bit better at the end of the run as he just clipped the grass a little bit. So obviously that didn't work. The car doesn't look very good right now. He's falling back. I think he came in 17th. He's currently 23rd. There's a train of cars behind him looking to get by him. So not a really good start to the night for Brian. He had a really tough NPS season last year, so he's first time he's had to run the Pro Series in 4 years. So not a really good start for him, but hopefully he can get this thing rounded back up with him and Tom and J-Lo and everybody else that's working on the car right now and get that thing going in the right direction.
While we're watching Brian Schoenberg try to get in the right direction, another guy who is going the right direction is the number 19. That's Mitchell Hunt. We're watching him in what may, in just a moment, be a battle for the runner-up position. The 19 and the 12 of Joey Brown. Brown has fallen almost 2 seconds now off Corey Vincent in the 10, who leads this race. But Mitchell Hunt, Evan, has made a nice charge forward. He is right now almost on the back bumper of that 12 machine, and these two before long I think we may see a change for that runner-up position.
Yeah, the High Performance Motorsport entry, that Ford right now sitting in the number 3 position, starting back in 5th, and surprised that we haven't really said his name as much as we go on board. You take a look at Joey Brown, looking up at that gap to Corey Vincent, which now sits 1.8 seconds, but what he's looking at is in that mirror. As you said, Jacob, the Dermonic machine is challenging, and behind him, that is a lap machine, the 83, not a factor in this battle, but it is a car length that separate these guys' positions 2nd and 3rd. 19 machines starting to close in. You're going to be able to get to them, that's one thing, but making that pass, a whole different story. Look for the number 19 machine to try to get to the inside. It's been the preferred way to make the passes so far.
Yeah, and that 19, he's trying to take a peek, it looks like, down into the corners. Just right now isn't quite close enough, and actually that time into the corner was just a tire width or so off the white line, which Joey Brown is absolutely hugging through turns number 3 and 4. Back to the start-finish line they come, and they're going to have some lap traffic to deal with here in a moment as they fall a little bit further behind the 10 of Corey Vincent. That gap to Joey Brown now 2 seconds as we see the 19 of Mitchell Hunt. This battle is going and raging strong. That 19 right there on the back bumper, Evan. He's trying to take a look.
He's letting that 12 machine know he's there, and it's very easy to go at this Texas Motor Speedway. You start to close in on somebody, you try to give it a little bit too much, you get a little bit too excited, you find yourself at a wall, coming off of 2, coming off of 4. So 19 machine has to go about this objectively. He's closing in, may have a little bit of a faster race car, trying to use a little bit of a slipstream, that draft off the back end of that number 12 Chevrolet, but he's putting the bumper there. You see he's showing it to him. He's only about a couple feet off the rear end of that number 12 machine when he goes through the corner, letting him know that he's there. And the more that he's there, you see 19 takes a look to the inside. He's actually going to go for it. Looks like the 12 of Joey Brown is going to give him the spot. So the point that I was going to make about maybe trying to force that guy into an error are relevant to this, because the 12 machine recognizing the 19's faster, and you can move Mitchell Hunt up to P2.
That's a solid run for that number 19 Ford machine as we watch the high performance entry. Now he's going to have to navigate some lap traffic. Getting around Joey Brown was one thing. The catch now is going to be catching Corey Vincent, no pun intended, but that 10 machine has looked so solid all night. He was fastest in practice, he won the pole, and now he leads this race by 2 seconds. Mike, if you're Corey Vincent, you've got a car that's been as dominant as his car's been so far today. What are you thinking right now as we're just a lap or two away from halfway, and you know you've still got 125 miles to go?
They're just hoping that there's no cautions at this point. He's got the long run down, he's got the short run down, and everything in between, so he doesn't need any cautions. Mitchell is pretty quick right now. A couple times he's been faster than Corey. That last lap he wasn't, but he's in a ton of traffic right now, which is going to really help Corey out. So I guess at this point Corey's being told that the 19 and the 12 are mired behind a bunch of traffic, so he's got to do his thing and just run some consistent laps, and don't do anything stupid to mess that car up, because it's really good. So about halfway through this thing, definitely looks like Corey's got it so far, but Mitchell can clear this traffic and get some clean track. I'd like to see how his lap times match up to Corey's. They'd probably be pretty close.
Right now, we're going to continue to watch the battle, but we are working lap number 84, which signifies halfway home in tonight's Mad Wire 250, the opening round of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series presented by Double Clutch here on LSRTV. We are going to take a commercial break here at halfway, and when we come back, we'll catch you up on some pit stops that are just getting ready to start. You're watching the Mad Wire 250 on LSRTV. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to the Mad Wire 250 from Texas, and we are under caution just past halfway, and it's a problem on our former third-place machine, Joey Brown. A problem right at the entrance to pit road, Evan. Got bottled up by a lap car, and disaster for that 12 machine.
Yeah, he had a lap machine coming in front of him, or rather the 98 car was actually coming down in front of him. So lap machine compared to him, that was Kyle McCormick slowing down for pit road. 12 machine was as well, and Joey being a little bit more aggressive on his entry was forced to check it up a little bit at a machine that had no intention of coming down pit road. Lap car, the number 83 of Thomas Davis, came flying through there on that bottom lane, the preferred lane. Possibly another driver was queued up, letting people know that they were going to be coming down pit road, and did not give Joey Brown an opportunity. Nonetheless, the 83 did not get the message and got hard into the rear of that number 12 car. A lot of guys into the fence trying to get around it. The number 91 car going to get some damage as well as they all scatter. That's Shane Doherty, and a caution flag will fly from that one. Tough break for one of the dominant cars on tonight, and Doherty, to note, his number 91 Chevrolet caught the outside wall just trying to get around it. Innocent victim in that one. Has some heavy black smoke. He's going to be forced down pit road this time.
And it's not just going to be Doherty coming down pit road. It's going to be multiple drivers coming down pit road. And I believe, looks like all the leaders coming down pit road. So, Petey Zeller, you're down there. What are you seeing as we see most of these lead lap cars coming your way?
Yeah, I'm watching the leader come down pit road. He's going to try making to a stall. Got into it very nicely once again. 4 tires is the trend I'm hearing. Everyone should be taking around 4 tires. And it looks like he has the right sides up, getting the tires on, Jackman running around, getting the left sides on, filling the car up with fuel. And he's going to get out of the pit road easily in first. Meanwhile, that 12 car you saw pulling behind him, Joey Brown, has sustained a ton of damage. One of the big favorites coming into tonight. His race potentially been ruined, car destroyed. Tough break for 12.
And that actually is going to move one of the guys that I'm watching, Josh Berry, up to the 3rd position right now. He was running 4th before Joey Brown had his issues, and Evan, you know, we talk about how this race has worked so far, and the biggest thing, I think, for the 12 machine, he never lost a lap during that exchange. That's always your biggest worry. If you get involved in something, or even if there's an incident in the middle of a green flag pit stop cycle, you're worried about losing a lap or getting pinned a lap down. Hopefully, even with the damage, the 12's still on the lead lap. Don't know if he's going to continue to be a factor for the win, but at least he'll maybe be able to salvage a decent result here tonight at Texas.
Yeah, he does not have a back end right now on his number 12 Chevrolet. He's going to roll out of pit road, Jacob. Also left front damage on that car as well. And what he's going to be forced to do is now, if we get a string of caution flags, which he's going to go from hoping it went green to hoping he can get now, he's going to continue to come down pit road, uncheck the tires, uncheck the fuel, and just try to work on those optional repairs that are going to be allotted to him. And then when a pace car like the last time comes out of 4, he'll get back going, cycle back up, and try to get down there and get some more damage repaired. As you see right now, ducks back down onto the pit lane. Going to be a long night for the 12 machine of Joey Brown. Yes, he maintains that lead lap status, which means he'll be able to gain positions as other drivers possibly fall out. A couple cars got trapped a lap down, actually a fair amount of them, Jacob, because they had already completed their stop. So you got a whole bunch of guys in this category that are going to be up in front of our leaders right now. They'll get the wave around, and some of them are going to lose some quite significant time because they're going to be back at the tail end of this lead pack when we get set to go back green flag racing. They'll get that wave by when lights go off in a pace car and we get one to go.
That's what they're waiting on right now. I'm hearing more reports, and Petey Zeller, I want to throw it back down to you. Follow up on something you were keeping an eye on earlier, I believe, involving the one of Rich Doucette.
Yeah, Richard Doucette was racing hard with a 15, I believe it was, earlier in the race, right around the time of the first pit stop, and they were actually miscommunication between them. He rear-ended him and it put some pretty bad damage on the left front of his car. Before we went to the caution here, he was running 10th before he came out of pit road. Hasn't seemed to affect his car too bad, but he's looking to maybe see a little bit of lower speed on the straightaway moving forward in the race due to that heavy left front damage.
So under caution, let's take a look down at least the top 10 right here, presented by Double Clutch. Corey Vincent still the race leader. Mitchell Hunt second. Josh Berry cycles through up to the number 3 position. Justin Trombley to 17. He's made a nice run to P4, and Tyler Hudson rounds out the top 5. Timu Ivonen is 6th. Trey Eidson 7th. Benjamin Burmeister is 8th. Brandon Chaburko 9th. And Alex Scribner. Boy, Evan, we were talking about Scribner dropped back from 9th to 30th on the opening run, and as we get set to take the green flag once again, field doubling up, he's finding himself back in the top 10.
One of those drivers that had not come down pit road yet, and some of that could be by strategy, hoping he could get a caution, cycle back up through this field, or by the luck of the draw, he'll be restarting in P10.
And as we look at the field, they're ready to go. And the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car takes that hard left turn to the pit lane, and the American Ethanol green flag going back in the air. The number 10 machine, Corey Vincent, on the gas again. He'll fall in line as the race leader. Second to Mitchell Hunt. He almost chops the nose of the 88 of Josh Berry, but they're able to cycle through. It looks like about a 4-car freight train single file, and then side-by-side 3 wide now down the back straightaway.
6 car going to be the first challenger on that inside. Turn 2, one of those tricky parts of the racetrack, Jacob. One of the calamity corners. Very easy to get in there too hot, have that back end step out on you. We're going to single file now up inside for the majority of this lead pack. First side-by-side battle going to be going at it. That's for P10, or rather 9th. The 48 machine, Chaburko, the challenger. He'll get it over the 66. Benjamin Burmeister going the wrong direction up top. Hoping he can shut the door. He will stay in front of Sasha Wessler.
I heard you say, Michael Conti, as we were watching that 3-wide battle, I heard you say how close that was. That almost turned into a disaster, and it made matters worse. We were talking about a 3-wide battle with cars getting loose about 5th, 6th, 7th. That's not what you want to see at the front of this field.
Now it's Chaburko with one of his classic swerves. Just this time he didn't crash. I don't know how he held on to that. There's a bunch of cars behind him, so really good piece of driving by everybody not to wad that up, because we've had our fair share of massive crashes in the backstretch here before, and they usually block the track, and there's a lot of melee that ensues behind. But right now they've got it all straightened out. It looks like Casey Tucker, I believe that is in the 28, is going to go around the 31.
As we continue to watch some battles, Sasha Wessler falling back now a little bit. Wessler, though, Evan, has made a very nice charge. 39th up now to 12th place. I know dropping back one, but you talk about 20-plus positions at a track where it's not easy to pass. It's one lane if you're going to make a pass on the bottom of the racetrack. Sasha Wessler, though, that 31 machine doing a very nice job here in the early going. Obviously taking a little bit of advantage of the caution flag during the middle of green flag pit stops, but hey, that's the brakes sometimes, and you'll take them where you can get them.
We have a lot of guys here, again, that have been beneficiaries of when that caution flag flew. The ones that had stayed out and were able to pick up a handful of spots, some of them 10-plus positions. Not to say that these guys have not been out here picking up positions throughout the course of the race, but you have a lot of guys up here batting above their average, per se. They're up front of the pack here, maybe not where the speed will put them, and you're going to have to watch. And why that restart was so interesting, you saw a lot of checking up there, and everybody was able to kind of sort that out fairly quickly. But you have a lot of cars up here that they're not slow, but they're not up here as top 10 cars, and you're seeing the 31 machine put a lot of pressure right now on Brandon Chaburko, top 10 car. And 31's going to get sideways off the corner. Wessler going to be able to hang on to it, so good save by the LRM Chevrolet. But Wessler going to lose all their positions, just as we say that, more side-by-side. Alan Bowes trying to put a move on Rob Ackley.
You talk about side-by-side battles right here, and we're seeing cars getting really loose off of turn number 2. They're side-by-side, 2 rows deep right now, and I am watching that 22 of Rob Ackley go wheel-to-wheel right now. Steven Azenyi's in this mix. Chaburko's back there, Michael. This is the kind of racing we expected to see here at Texas. We're past halfway, and I think some of these guys have decided it's time to go.
Yeah, they definitely have. You can see that people are pushing more now. They aren't coming up off the corner straight anymore, which is a telltale sign that they're on it. Everybody back here from 10th to 15th, and even further back, I've been keeping an eye on. They're all over each other, trying to get everything that they can. We got 60-something laps to go, but those go by pretty quick here, so they got to get it while they can.
A world of mess for the 91 camp. Shane Doherty back towards the tail end of that restart, and he went backwards on the high side very quick. Had about 20 cars pass him by the time he got one lap of the books coming off this most recent caution flag. Has brought it down pit road for repairs. Back end damage being sported right now, and he's down on pit road getting that damage fixed. Meanwhile, a couple of drivers announcing that they're going to be hitting the pit lane as well.
Well, we are now 100 laps in, 150 miles down, and just 100 miles to go here from Texas Motor Speedway. And boy, it's gotten fun here in the last couple of laps. Getting ready to go on board with Sasha Wessler in the 31 machine, one of the drivers who we've seen a lot of action around recently, Evan, because that 31 machine has been kind of in the middle of a hornet's nest here the last 5 or 10 laps. Some of it directly involved, some of it just trying to dodge cars here, but we've seen side-by-side action from about 7th on back to 13th here the last few laps.
The 31 machine right now sitting in front of the 83, side-by-side up in front of Sasha Wessler. The 22 of Rob Ackley giving way. It's Brandon Bowie, the driver of the number 54 car, currently sitting in position number 30. That puts him as the second car 1 lap down. He's fighting with the 21 right in front of him, Jacob, for the lucky dog position. Alan Bowes, first car 1 lap down in 29. These two cars separated by half a car length. That's a valuable spot you got to fight for.
Every point matters because you've only got 10 races to land yourself in the top 20 and advance to the 2015 NASCAR Peak Anti-Freeze Series. And, you know, right now it's a game of points, and Corey Vincent's doing a pretty solid job of locking every single one up he can, although I'm not convinced that 10 car is the best car on this run. Let's watch this right now. The 10 versus the 19 of Mitchell Hunt, who has closed in Michael Conti right to the back bumper of the number 10. Mitchell Hunt is on the attack, and I'd say that Ford Fusion wants this race lead.
He certainly does. I mean, he's been fast. Not this fast, though. Here he goes. He's to the bottom outside. Is the 10 side by side into 1. There he goes. He clears him. So now Corey's got to try to get back down the line, which it looks like he will. Maybe. Nope. It looks like Josh is going to hold. Ooh. That's close. Now, that's where you get in trouble, guys. When you try to cut in front of somebody off at 2, there's not a lot of room, and Josh was, coming, and he wasn't going to back down. So that's Corey's back to 3rd now. So that's the deepest we've seen him. So the track hasn't changed. We know that. The weather hasn't changed either. I mean, maybe the 10 just, isn't as good this run. Maybe he's just, I don't know, maybe it's something with traffic, who knows, but definitely not as strong as he was earlier.
This is the diciest battle for the lead that we have seen all night long, and Mitchell Hunt almost loses it off turn number 2. Hang on tight. Josh Berry, I think, about saw an opening and was ready to go to the inside if the 19 had lost any more momentum. The two teammates right now, you ask for that. Josh Berry may actually have cut the 19 a little bit of slack here. Berry and Hunt, of course, you don't want to see either one of them get involved in a skirmish and take each other out here. Josh Berry could have easily gone to the inside right there, elected to let that 19 machine of his teammate Hunt gather it back up, but he is still right there, and I'm not convinced that any one of these front four don't have a shot to win this race.
And it's no surprise that it has become turn 2 here in the second half of this race once these drivers have substantially picked up the intensity that back end stepping out on them. Once they get down off that banking coming out of 2, we've seen a handful of cars sideways. So far, everybody's been able to hang on to it and been very impressed at how many cars still in this race, but the top 3 only separated by 2/10. Have to say the 19 looks like one of the strongest. He's opened it up to two car lengths rather over. Now second place, Josh Berry. The 10 car of Corey Vincent has slid back to the number 3 position. Don't count out Tyler Hudson. Got to be sitting in the wings here. 4/10 out of it, P4.
And you guys laughed at me when I said Tyler Hudson was going to have a shot to win this race during the double clutch pre-race show. I'd see, he's right there. And Michael, you've raced against Tyler. We never see him this far at the front of the field during these first 80, 90, 100 laps. But you hit about 50, 60 to go, and it's go time, and that 01's going to start moving to the front. He's a former champion of the Peak Antifreeze Series. We know he knows how to win, and he's right now, I think, almost waiting for a mistake, it looks like, from one of these front 3. Ready to take advantage, but doesn't want to put that car in a situation that could get him in the wall before it's go time.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tyler kind of drives similarly to how maybe Kevin Harvick or somebody like that in the real Cup Series kind of goes about their races, or at least how Kevin used to. Just kind of ride around at the beginning of the race, fill your car out, make adjustments as needed throughout the middle, and try to have the best piece you can toward the end. But what I've seen from Tyler tonight has kind of been the opposite. Looks like he's better in the first half of the run, then kind of falls off more. So I'm curious to see if his guys over at, I believe, SDC Motorsports can get that thing a little bit better in the long run to keep up with these front 3, because, I mean, I think if it all comes down to it, there's no untimely cautions or anything crazy like that, the race for the win is going to be between the 19, the 88, and 10. I think they're the 3 fastest cars. They don't have Joey to compete with any more than 12, so these 3 definitely have the best cars. I'm just curious to see if Tyler can get that 01 just a tick faster to keep up with these guys.
And of course, it's going to be the question of whether we have a long run to finish this race or whether we start to see a flurry of cautions here in the late stages. We're down now as we complete lap 112. We're down to 55 laps to go in this Madwire 250, and again, we're seeing the tightest racing we've seen all night. These guys are going to start eventually to say we have to go because there's not enough laps left. You got to start making moves, Evan, and these front 3, like Michael said, they have all, on the stopwatch, been very, very close, within about a 10th to a 10th and a half each time by, as we see Corey Vincent try to take a look, actually, on Josh Berry for that second position. They're so consistent, I think it's almost going to take a mistake like we saw from that 10 of Corey Vincent when Mitchell Hunt got the lead. It may take a mistake to get the lead away from one of these guys, whoever's out front in the closing laps.
You have to be careful and pick and choose when you're going to decide to make that move. Obviously, the inside has been the preferred place to go tonight, but you try to duck that thing low off the corner, give it a little bit more wheel, that thing can snap very quickly on you. So you have to look at this as there's still one more trip to the pit lane in this. Does it come under green flag conditions? Does it come under caution flag? And it's going to be battle for second. 10 car to the inside. Josh Berry up top trying to hang on. Advantage going to clearly go to Vincent down into the corner. 88 pulls in behind him. Does he get any sort of a crossover off the corner? Answer on that going to be no. And move Corey Vincent up to second. And even that small battle, Jacob, is going to allow Mitchell Hunt to continue to open up that top spot gap. He now sits with about 0.3 of a second, actually 4. Going to pick up 2/10 that lap alone to be able to get a little bit of a cushion on that top spot.
It's about the cushion right now, and as we close in on 50 laps to go, Petey Zeller, you're back down there on pit road. There's still some storylines swirling, I know, and there's been some hornet's nests the last few laps that you've been able to see.
Yeah, the 44 to about the 15 and 20, they just had about a big 5-car pack racing 2x2, almost 3 wide. They were banging off each other. Very rough situation. Patrick Trabtree involved in that, the NASCAR Racing Series Open Championship. That's how he got himself here. Very nerve-wracking situation. Things have settled down now, and these guys are looking to get back to the front, but certainly a big hornet's nest there for a little while.
And you talk about hornet's nests, that's what you're going to get here in the closing laps, because where we would see give and take early on in the going, you're going to see a whole lot less give and a whole lot more take, Mike. You've been there, you've done that. How much are these guys going to be basically putting their foot to the floor and not worrying about who may be to the inside, to the outside, or right in front of them?
Well, like I've been saying this whole race, you can't get caught up in the moment. There might be 20 to go, and you might be in 6th or in 11th trying to get a top 5 or top 10, whatever position you're in. If it's too risky, it's not worth crashing out of a decent points-paying spot to try to get just one more point when you might lose 20 or 30. So there's still plenty of cars in the lead lap, still plenty of time left. These guys just need to keep their heads on, which they're doing right now, and they need to think about the big picture. Winning tonight is not what they need to do. Even finishing top 5 or 10 tonight really isn't what you need to do. An average finish of 20th will get you in that top 20, and you'll make it into the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, which is the ultimate goal here. So I think that's what everybody's doing right now. I don't see anything too crazy happening. That restart was pretty wild, but looks like everybody's cars have come in. The tire pressures are up to where they need to be, and everybody's kind of got it sorted out now. But we still have one more pit stop, so after that, it might get a little bit more heated.
Evan, I'm watching again, Calamity Corner, turn 2. We about had one car go around way sideways off turn number 2. It looked like it might have been Rich Doucette again.
Another car that got sideways, our race leader, Mitchell Hunt. That's allowed the number 10 machine of Corey Vincent to close back into him once again. Interesting enough to know, Jacob, these top 2 guys on track, their fastest in-race lap time so far tonight, a 28.066 for Hunt, an 0.65 for that car behind him, Corey Vincent. That beats the previous record from last year, 2013, for the fastest in-race lap time. Josh Berry had held that with a 28.14. So these top 2 definitely putting down the speeds.
And part of that, I believe, Mike, you touched on it earlier on in the broadcast, part of that's because it's a little bit cooler, the in-sim weather tonight, a little bit cooler than it was during the 2013 edition of this race. And of course, on a 1.5-mile track like this, that is going to equate to some faster lap times.
Yeah, I mean, it's about as cool as it can get here in iRacing, 65 degrees. The wind is a little bit, the wind is definitely there. So that's something that we haven't really talked about tonight, which I feel needs to be brought to attention. The wind is definitely a big part in the races here and how you have to set up your cars. And the wind really makes a big difference off of turn 2, which is why we're seeing fast cars like Mitchell Hunt, Corey Vincent, everybody else really tracking out to that wall and getting loose as Corey Vincent retakes the lead. So the wind really, Jacob, is the most important thing about tonight. It might be cool, it might be going really fast and everything, that's great, but the wind is what's really going to separate the men from the boys tonight.
123 laps complete, 44 to go, and Corey Vincent just blasted back by the 19 of Mitchell Hunt to reclaim that top spot, and Hunt got loose off turn number 2 and had to hang on to keep the back end of that car from kicking into the safer barrier here at Texas. And we've got a couple cars who have already pitted, Evan. We'll get to Petey down there in a moment, but I believe the 38 machine, one of the guys who's already on fresh tires, and he's trying to fly his way back through this field.
Yeah, that's Ryan Lowe right now sitting in the number 40 position. So not what he was looking for. He's 3 laps out of it, so not in contention for a top spot. But we'll see if he plays any sort of a factor into this battle for the top spot. He's already been able to pass Josh Berry, Tyler Hudson since he left pit road on those fresh tires. He is running lap times that are faster than those top 2 drivers. Question is he willing to sit behind Mitchell Hunt, or does he want to make some sort of a move, make that pass on those fresher tires, and in doing so, does he become a factor in this battle for the top spot, as the top 2 are separated right now by 3 car lengths? You see the 38 machine is going to go to the inside, make a pass on the number 19 machine. That's going to cost Mitchell Hunt some time.
It is going to cost Mitchell Hunt some time. And another one of the drivers that we've been keeping our eye on tonight, who is really running solid right now, Evan, is the only driver to compete in every Pro Series event here at the Texas Motor Speedway, and that's driver car number 6, Trey Edson, who currently rides actually real solid tonight. 7th position, about 3.5 seconds off the race leader, and going to see if we can't go on board with the driver of car number 6, because that's, you talk about somebody who's made plenty of laps here at the Speedway, and Trey Edson has done that, and he continues to prove that track time does mean something. He's not had one of the top 2 or 3 race winning cars, but he's been really solid tonight, and he knows how to get around this 1.5-mile Speedway.
We talked about the schedule there at the top of the show, and Texas Motor Speedway, one of the tracks that has been on the schedule here with the Pro Series since it started back in 2010, and we have not had a repeat winner yet. 2010 saw Thomas Hazard. Marcus Lindsay got it in 2011. 2012 went to Dustin Montgomery. And Mr. Josh Berry got it 1 year ago in 2013. Could he become the first multi-time winner here at the Texas in the Pro Series? Right now, sitting in third, Jacob, that 88 Speed Coast Chevrolet has definitely been one of the cars that you need to keep in the conversation here tonight. Has had a solid run. Has not left the top 10 really in the green flag conditions all night long after qualifying 10th. Continues to pick his way through the field, and he's starting to close in on our top 2, but it is starting the final round of pit stops. Some of the cars towards the tail end of the lead pack are starting to cycle through. Going to keep an eye on what our leaders are going to decide to hit the pit lane for the final time.
Yeah, pit road's getting pretty busy. Petey Zeller, down there to you. We've got a bunch of cars who are starting to cycle through final round of pit stops with about 34, 35 laps to go.
Yeah, we saw the 51 Tyler Laughlin and Branch Burkle bringing down pit road. We still got a few rolling in here to pit road right now. It's a very busy scene down here. I'll try to get a number on that one. But try to play some pit strategy as the 50 brings down to pit road. Alex Scribner is going to take 4 tires, possibly as we expect. We've seen a lot of it tonight. Maybe he will be the first car to try some strategy. And no, he's going to put 4 tires on it. Keeping it playing the safe card right now as he is leaving pit road.
Rob Ackley is in right now, trying to see who does what right now. Michael, as we watch some of these cars who are taking 4 tires, the longer some of these guys stay out, do you take 2?
Absolutely not. It could work, but they've been on these tires for so long, Jacob. I just don't think the left sides would really be able to hold in for a double stinted run. So I think 4 tires are really gonna be what win the race, but maybe for somebody that's kind of mid-pack right now that wants to try to get closer to the top 10, if they can stay out long enough, 2 might get them a few positions. So we're going to have to watch that. It's a good point, I wouldn't recommend that if I was crew chief for one of these guys. But, if they can do it, then more power to them.
Tyler Hill is around there, the 9 machine. Evan, we're watching that. They're a lap behind the leaders because they've already pitted. There are 3 wide right now, or have been 3 wide here for about a lap, and it's dicey. We talk about these Hornets' nests. They're starting to form up again.
Yeah, the 9, the 42, and the 30 car making it 3 wide down at quarter number 1 on lap 131. And the 9 machine, actually, Tyler Hill, is working some left rear damage, which he suffered not too long ago. He got checked up, Jacob, behind the 42 a lap before they went 3 wide, and it was actually the number 15 machine behind him. Patrick Crabtree got into the back end of the number 9, and now Tyler Hill sporting a little bit of left rear damage on his Chevrolet.
You talk about left rear damage. All of these guys ought to be sporting some right rear damage with as close as they've been to the safer barrier off turn number 2 all night long. We keep seeing these guys kick out, and even now off turn number 4, starting to see the leaders kick out just a little bit. Mitchell Hunt's in the 19 machine. He's been wiggling, and as we continue to see green flag pit stop cycle through, Petey, the leaders are waiting for now, but there's more business in front of you.
Yes, there is multiple more cars come down pit road. The action's getting busy here as we have seen more cars come down pit road here. The 17 of Dustin Trombley has brought down pit road. He looks like he's going to take a 4-tire strategy here as he is getting his car all ready to get ready for this race. He came in position number 8, and we have some more cars come on. Trey Edson has came on as we have position number 4 come in. Number 99 of Team U, Ivinson, going to bring it down pit road, crawling down to 15 miles an hour from going 200, and he's going to bring it down in his pit stall, and we expect to see him take a 4-tire strategy as the 74 also will come down pit road here.
Yeah, that's Taylor Hurst, and the question is now, when will the leaders come? The answer, right now. Race leader Corey Vincent headed down. Evan Pisoko almost
he got the cone.
He got the cone, and that's going to be dicey. I smell a comment from the orange cone on Twitter coming after this one. I know it's not orange in the sim, Evan, but, you know, we invoke the cone here on iRacing every once in a while, and we see Corey Vincent right now. He slots into his pit stall, the number 1 pit stall on pit road, as we see Vincent going to take 4 tires here as we watch him take out the cone.
Yeah, that replay going up. Not the first time tonight that we've seen those drivers getting a little bit squirrely down on the pit road, and PD touched on it earlier in the race that very recently, I guess you'd say, on the iRacing sim, just a couple weeks now, they have bumped up that pit road speed along with the pace speed 5 miles an hour. It's 50 miles an hour getting down on pit road. You can get a little bit more out of it, but we have seen everybody getting real sideways. 19 car going to come down now. Mitchell Hunt is in his stall. He'll give up the top spot.
Yeah, he will. Right side tires already going on that machine, and it's going to be 4 tires as well. He does not want to give up any time to the guys that he's battling. Corey Vincent and Josh Berry for the lead. He's down and away. 28 is in Casey Tucker. He was right behind with Mitchell Hunt, and I believe was going to assume the top spot for just an instant, but now Tucker going to come to his pit stall, and Joey Brown, remarkably, I think he's going to cycle through to the lead for just a moment.
Yeah, Joey sitting right now P1, and we talked about Jacob on that caution that he kept coming down pit road waiting for that pace car to come at a 4 before he could have, or rather he'd be forced to leave in order to keep that lead lap status that he had pertained at the time, get back out there, and he wants a couple more cautions possibly to get some more damage fixed. Still left front, still no back bumper on his 12 Chevrolet, but he does get it as a bonus point. He goes out there, he led that lap, he's going to break down pit road this time by great entry there down to 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, Joey Brown, the last of these leaders, I believe, that's going to hit the pit lane along with the 28 of Casey Tucker, who is cycling through. And I'm looking at this, and Michael Conti, I believe we have seen the strategy move play out right here. Tyler Hudson, a 5-second lead over Corey Vincent. I smell 2 tires with 27 laps to go.
Well, this reminds me of many races that I've been in before, and I think we've all been in them on iRacing or NASCAR 2003 or any other platform we've been on in the sim world. The Atlanta Pro Race comes to mind definitely. Hopefully it turns out like that, because that was definitely fun to watch. Not really fun to come up that close, but anyway, tonight, right? If Corey can keep cutting into Tyler's lead like he is, he'll get there. The last lap he gained about 3/10 on him, so if he can do that over the next 25 laps or so, it'll be pretty close, but he'll definitely get there. Now, if the closing rate starts to slow down, it's going to be Tyler Hudson's race to lose. So I have to see what happens here, but like we've been saying the whole night, tires are huge. So I think 4 tires are going to prevail, but I'm not going to put any money on it like Joe Cortez did, because he lost money. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I was pretty sure Tony Stevens won that bet, and I'm sure Tony was sitting there smiling as he pocketed some pocket change. But, you know, we were talking about the closing rate. It was only a 1/10 of a second last time by between Tyler Hudson that Corey Vincent made up. We'll see what it is this time across the stripe, as we got 25 laps to go. It's 2/10 this time.
He'll get there.
It's going to be close, Evan. You say he's going to get there, but I'm not convinced that this is going to be. I think Tyler Hudson, if he's got just enough left in the tank, if he can hold the gap to maybe a 1/10 per lap for 3-4 laps, he may be able to salvage this.
It's definitely going to come down to it. I do feel that Corey Vincent may be able to get this, and the key here is going to be keeping an eye on those interval times. 2 more tenths that last time around. If he's going at that rate, it's going to take him about 5 laps to get a second knocked off. So he's looking at about needing 20 laps. Well, he's working lap 144. He's got about 23 laps this next time by. That's if he can maintain that closing rate of 2/10 a lap. If he's unable to do so, then Tyler Hudson may be able to steal this. And what the 01 team is praying for, they do not want to see a caution, because depending on what happens with the pit road strategy on that one, that 01 machine could be left out to dry, and that could get real ugly if he is forced to stay out to try to play some sort of defensive move on his position. So he wants this thing to stay green, but 2 more tenths off that time by. The gap starting to close a little bit, not quite a full 2/10, about a 1/10 and 7/100 that last time by. But Corey Vincent, at the rate he's going, he's going to make this a close one.
It's going to be tight, and Mike, going back to that Atlanta Pro race for the Peak Antifreeze Series a couple of months ago now that you were involved in with Tom Lewandowski, if I remember correctly, you caught him with about 3 laps to go, and it was just a matter of trying to find the lane to get around. And catching him's one thing, as we say, but passing him and actually getting that spot is a whole nother ball game.
And I'd like to think my job, somebody's in the wall down the backstretch, he's going to hang on to it, though. I'd like to think that my job was easier. I had a second lane to go to if I could have gotten up alongside of him. Here, there's no second lane. It doesn't matter if you're a little bit faster than somebody. You got to be extremely fast to make that work. So he's got one option. That's to get to Hudson and get around him on the bottom. And Hudson is a really tough guy to pass. He's going to hold him off for everything that he's got. Corey's going to have to get there with at least 5 or 6 to go to actually set up a pass and get around him.
And we got problems on the racetrack. Kwame Ajay blowing up. Big problems for that 43. Evan, you were keeping an eye on it. It started over there in turn 2.
Yeah, another one of those bobbles that we've seen in the second half of this race, Jacob, and unable to hang on to it. He overcorrected that machine, and when trying to keep it off the fence, just turned it to the inside wall. He locked it up, had that wheel turned all the way to the right. The car would just not respond in time, and with that heavy left front contact as the primary point of impact onto the inside wall, going to get that engine damage, and black smoke billowed out of the back end of the 43 Chevrolet. He was slow on the apron. He brought down pit road. Tough break as he slides back now to what's going to be P40 after starting tonight's race at a top 25 spot.
And we're seeing that gap now between the 01 and the 10 start to stabilize. It's about a 10th a lap now, and the biggest thing for Tyler Hudson, he's got at least one car now between he and the 10 of Corey Vincent as a buffer. Corey's going to lose some time getting around these lap machines, Mike, and right now, as we see, about a 10th to a 10th and a half per lap with just coming to 17 laps to go. It is going to be excruciatingly close, just like it was in Atlanta, but I think Tyler Hudson may have it.
If Hudson gets held up at all, like Tom did at Atlanta, by a lap car or a couple lap cars, Vincent's going to be there in a hurry. But right now, Hudson doesn't really have any lap cars in front of him, so if he can just keep this going right now, if Hudson can, he's going to have this. But I don't think Vincent's done yet. He's going to give it everything he's got. And, he is catching him now at 2/10 a lap again. So I think Hudson's tires are starting to fall off just a bit more.
It's going to be tight. All right, so we're down to it. 16 laps to go, 2.4. Now it's 2.1, the 2/10 a lap. Gap is coming, and at that math, it'd be about 5 laps to go when Corey Vincent gets there. But again, as we say, catching him's one thing, passing's another. The Sim Pit 0-1 for Tyler Hudson. He leads the charge. He'd like to kick off the Pro Series season with a win, and this Madwire 250's, oh boy, it's going to be tight. 14 laps to go, and again, 0.2 of a second for Corey Vincent. Petey Zeller, we've been watching this all night long. You've been down there on pit road watching 2 tires, 4 tires. We had a feeling this might come down to a strategy game, and sure enough, here it is.
It sure is, and I tell you, I knew someone was going to do it, but I didn't think it would be the past DWC champion Tyler Hudson, but he made the move, and so far it's looking pretty smart. Obviously, Corey Vincent closing in. We saw everyone else in the field take 4 tires. Tyler was the only one to take 2 for the most part this entire race. And right now, I don't even know who's going to win. The fans are just on their feet, so excited, and they're in for a great finish.
Evan, if we see 1-2 more cars in addition to Tyler Hudson take 2 tires late in the going here, does he have an advantage? Does he have more of an advantage than being the lone duck?
Well, he helped himself out by the fact that it was not a car that was really deep in the pack, taking that 2-tire call. He already had some substantial track position. If he had some other guys up there, for example, look at the machine right behind him. If you say theoretically Matt Spangler's another car on 2 tires, 01 machine's going to be looking up at his mirror a lot more. Right now, he knows. You can see the lap times. Then 1.4 seconds, the gap back to Corey Vincent. He's going to get there. I do think he got 0.8 that last time by. He's not going to have a lot of time to set him up for that pass. There are 2 machines, in between them, and one of them is going to yield high. The number 91, Shane Doherty, going to get out of the way, and now Corey Vincent going to have to get to Matt Spangler. He wants that 25 to get out of his way because he does not have an abundance of time to set up that pass. He's going to almost have to do this in one swift motion, and now he's closing in on. Going to make this one a show as they come into quarter number 4, going to be closing in 12 laps to go.
And we're going to go on board right now with the number 10 of Corey Vincent as we watch that gap shave to within 1 second. It is 9/10 that time across the stripe with 14 laps to go. And we're watching this 10 try to make it happen, and we almost saw the caution that Tyler Hudson did not want to see, courtesy of the 42 machine of Charlie Foster, who just as the leaders came by a lap or two ago, was sideways on the apron and had to hold the brakes down, Evan, to just avoid coming up onto the racetrack and drawing that yellow.
Something that needs to be noted as well, and obviously in the back of these driver minds, is if we get a caution flag, tonight's race is going to be 167 laps. You get down to about lap 163. Caution flies at this point, you're not going to get a restart. No green-white checkers, no overtime. All of these laps count under caution. It's going to take about 4 laps for iRacing to cycle through a caution flag period, allow these drivers to have an opportunity at pit road, get the 2 to green, 1 to green, and then go. So Corey Vincent, he's got it down now to half of a second, 4/10. He's cleared the lap traffic of Matt Spangler, and this is going to be a shot at it. It's 7 car lengths at a quarter number 2 for the top spot. He's going to walk away with the trophy. And here at Texas, he's closing in on him with not a moment left to spare. It's going to be a good one. They got some lap traffic up in front of them as well.
Yeah, and Josh Berry's closing in on this as well, but he just got chopped by the Spangler machine. I don't know, the 88 almost looked faster than both of these machines, and it's down to a car length here as we cross the start-finish line. The question's going to be, how quickly can Corey Vincent dispose of Tyler Hudson, and he's there.
Way up the track.
Yeah, way up the track.
Welcome.
Here's the battle for the lead, and oh, boy, Hudson was able to use the 09 as a pick right there. I wasn't convinced that that was going to work, but he hangs on to it right now. 7 laps to go this time. Vincent's throwing everything he's got at this battle for the win, and he's trying to look inside, look outside. He gives him almost a shot going into turn 1.
Hudson's going to back up the corner so he can't get a run on him, guys. That's what he's got to do, and he's going to do it right here.
Half a car length down the back straightaway to go into turn number 3. Lap 161 in the works of 167 laps, and he's right on the bumper. We know he has the speed, but as you said, he's got to set this one up. 10 car to the bumper. He looks low. 01's going to shut the door down to the grass. It is a defensive move by Tyler Hudson. 10 to the inside, shuts the door again.
He is slamming the door right now.
There's
there it is. Oh, boy. And we're down to it now. 5 laps to go, and the big winner on this is the 88, Josh Berry. Evan, you said it right there. He's in this mix now. It's a 3-car fight for the win.
If this 10 and the 01 get fight with each other, don't count out that 88. I said he's looking to go back. Contact. He's going to
Berry's around.
Hudson.
2, 3, 4, and this race is over. Tyler Hudson's going to win it as they pile in behind. Oh,
it was the block there. He shut the door once again, and the bumper hook, if you want to call it, that you sometimes see at the plate tracks, that 10 car got sent around and never off the accelerator was that number 10. Jacob goes back up. Josh Berry was going to win this race if that 10 car stayed in the grass. 88 machines gets collected in that one. You also have the 19 of Mitchell Hunt. Some of the most dominant cars all race long pile into that, and they didn't stop wrecking after that as a lot of these guys came flying in here hot. And the 01 of Tyler Hudson is going to finish at that top spot, I do believe. Wow.
All right, Mike, you're the driver here. Where's the expert analysis on this one? Because that, I'm going to use a line that Evan and I have perfected on Monday nights here on LSRTV. I don't know what that was, but that just happened.
Yeah, oh gosh, I mean, I knew he had to block, he had to back up the corners, he did everything he had to do, but Corey got a big run on him off of 4, and he just blocked one too many times, and unfortunately it didn't hook Tyler. It just it got Corey, and then that everybody else piled in after that. That's really unfortunate. I wanted to see how that would have played out. That would have been awesome to watch, but he did everything that he had to do, I guess Tyler did, so, congrats to him. That was, that's what he had to do to win this thing, and that's surely a statement. first race out, 2013 champion taking the win. So, you got to do what you got to do, I guess. And Tyler felt that was appropriate. So, there you go.
All right, so we are now working lap 165. I'm trying to do the quick math in my head. Do we have a one-lap shootout?
It's going to be close. They would have had to get the 2 to go that time by, and it was a possibility, but I believe in the facts that everybody catching up behind that iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car, that this will end under caution flag conditions, as some of the fellow drivers go over the radio congratulating Tyler Hudson on what's going to be a trip to victory lane, who was just looking for a ride, Jacob, over a month ago to get back into this series. He found it, and a trophy, and what we were all talking about behind the scenes and on air here, the reminiscence of Atlanta, controversy. It was going to come right down to it, and no matter what your opinion is on it, at the end of the day, it is the 01 machine who will finish P1 and walk away with the trophy out of tonight.
Wow. I mean, what can you say about that, Evan? I mean, I'm speechless right now, and that's hard for me. Anybody that's heard me on LSRTV this season knows that's difficult. Wow, what an opener. What a finish.
We knew it was going to be close. We did the rough math there at 0.2 of a second, and we said he was going to get about 3 laps at it. He got there at about 5 to go, and it was the move to the inside that number 10 machine had made. The 01 of Hudson shutting the door possibly. And again, in real life, you could argue, is it the 01 that goes around? Unfortunately, the way this one worked out, it's the 10 car did. And no intention, I don't believe, and obviously no intention on Vincent's part to go up and get the 88, but he was trying to stay in that. Gas was down in the grass there and ended up coming back out again. If he spun through the grass, caution flag probably would have come out, but then the 88 machine gets second. Again, there is a championship. These guys, Jacob, 3 of the strongest cars all night long, obviously don't want to use this race as their mulligan because they've been so strong all race long, and it's going to be the final 5 laps that is their Achilles heel, and they're going to be taken out of that and drop back. And with the lack of caution so far, we only had 1 caution up until this one that would end the race. The fact of that was there were so many cars still on track that these guys that have gotten torn up, Corey Vincent, 36th position, Josh Berry, 35th, 19 of Mitchell Hunt, 37th. Those positions no way indicative of how they ran, but it's because the way this race went green, because there were so many cars left, that as Tyler Hudson takes the white flag, they're going to get such low positions.
And now the storylines are set for some action over the next 10, or rather next 9 races. Rivalries, Mike, race car drivers, we say it all the time. You guys have long memories. Could we see the start of potentially a rivalry here? Tyler Hudson taking no prisoners and Corey Vincent maybe feeling wronged by that, perhaps?
Yeah, I'm sure Corey doesn't feel very good about anything right now, but after watching that back many times, I kind of have to. I feel bad for everybody in that. That shouldn't have sent Corey around. That was just kind of a crummy situation there, and Tyler did what he had to do. There's less than 3 to go. He's on older tires. He had to block, and he did everything he had to do. So I'm sure Corey is absolutely disgusted right now, and he should be. He dominated this thing, but unfortunately, it just didn't work in his favor. Not every race is going to work in somebody's favor. The dominant car is not always going to win. So Corey's just got to come back to Phoenix next week with a car equal to what he had tonight, and he'll start winning races. He'll get the points back. He's got 9 more races left, but the one thing that he can't do, or anybody else that was involved in that, start screwing around with each other every race. They don't have time for that, and like I've been saying the whole night, there's a bigger picture that they need to look at.
The bigger picture right now involves a checkered flag. There it is. Tyler Hudson takes the win in the Madwire 250. He'll win it at Texas. Justin Trombley is second. Trey Eidson third. Teemu Ivonen, nice run for the 99 to come home fourth. And Benjamin Burmeister inheriting a top 5 position. How about Tyler Hill, 7th? Kevin King in the 29 made a nice run to 8th. Patrick Crabtree's up there in the top 10. In 6th, Brian Schoenberg, Stephen Gilbert. A lot of names that we didn't expect to see up in the top 10 here in the closing laps, but sure enough, there they are. But it's Tyler Hudson who's going to get ready to roll down onto the front straightaway, and I have a feeling this will be a pretty enthusiastic burnout. I would imagine it's been quite a while. And there it is, the Sim Hit 0-1, spinning the rear tires, and he's earned this burnout, whether you love him or hate him for the move he pulled. He is the winner here tonight at the Great American Speedway, the Madwire 250 in the books, and the Double Clutch post-race show going to be coming up here in just a little bit. We'll go through all 43 finishers tonight, take a look at who needs some strong runs going into next week at Phoenix, and see if we can't catch up with a couple of our top finishers before it's all said and done. Congratulations, though, to Tyler Hudson right now, because he is celebrating, and we'll be back with more from Texas right after this. You're watching LSRTV.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the LSRTV, Texas Motor Speedway, and the Madwire 250 as part of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. The opener is now in the books, and what a race. Evan Pasoko, I'm going to head down towards pit road. This is going to be fun to talk about, and I'm sure one that we're going to be talking about for a long time, because we had Tyler Hudson, who wins the race, and guys like a Trey Edson or a Benjamin Burmeister who inherit some pretty solid runs tonight.
I don't think there's much more that you could have asked for coming into this race. A great atmosphere, a lot of anticipation to finally get this 2014-2015 campaign kicked off. And the race saw everything. We saw the green flag cycles, we saw restarts, we saw the tire strategy, and we saw the controversy. And it's the drama that sells tickets, and you really don't want to see it carry over. Tyler Hudson walks away with the trophy, and there's about 3 drivers there that were tucked up right behind him, Jacob, that worked really hard for about 165 laps to get to where they were, to get themselves in a solid position, and they may have to use a strong run like tonight as their mulligan, as one of their drop weeks, which is not what you want to do after you roll into this. And again, you work so hard for so long and you lose it that quickly at the end there. A lot of those guys, that incident completely out of their control. So a lot of bent sheet metal, a lot of bent feelings, I'd have to say, going to be rolling out of this one. And Phoenix is kind of a short track, so who knows?
Yeah, Retribution's going to be interesting, but I know one person that's not thinking about that right now is down here on pit road, Trey Edson, driver of the number 6 tonight. And Trey, what a race. I know you were just far enough behind all the theatrics there with about 5 laps to go that you're able to get through. You come home with a 3rd place result tonight and a very strong start to your Pro Series season. First off, talk about that run and talk a little bit about your view there at the end, too.
Oh man, the race it played into our hand as far as finish. I botched qualifying. I was absolutely way too careful. If we ran what was potentially there, we'd probably started in the top 5. Can't thank Cody Bias enough for his dedication. I mean, he worked his butt off on that setup, and it's a track position game with everybody being so close. I mean, I think the whole field, you're probably 2 tenths apart, and that's pretty ridiculous when you're talking track position. As far as at the end of the race, like you said, I was too far behind to see what was going on. Everybody on the team speak on the radio with Bolton and Malik and Cody, they were screaming, they were going crazy. So I'm sure it was a good show. I still have yet to see exactly what happened.
Trey, for you, I know you'll want to watch the tape to see exactly what happened, make that determination. But regardless, a top 3 is a great way to start anybody's pro season. But for you, I think even more so, because we saw you have a couple of solid runs during the Peak Antifreeze Series season, but never quite exactly what you wanted. How much momentum does this give you guys?
Well, you start, it's a 10-race season. You want to win races, but you're really just trying to survive and make it to the Peak Antifreeze Series. And last year was my first pro season, and it was bad. I mean, it was a nail biter down to the end just to qualify for the top league there. And like you said, I had some decent runs in the Peak Antifreeze Series, but it just seemed like something would always happen to me the last 30 or 40 laps, and the whole night would be a wash. And when you add that up over a 16-race season, you're going to be on the outside looking in.
Tonight, though, you are not on the outside looking in. In fact, you are among the favorites, I think, Trey. But before we let you go, as always, sponsors, supporters, I know this run isn't possible without them. Give the shout-outs. Who makes it happen for you and the team?
I just need to thank Cody Bias, Justin Bolton. I'm sure I'm going to leave somebody out. Adam Gilland, Justin Trombley, Brad Mahar, Tyler Laughlin, Tyler Hill. I mean, it's just EJ O'Rourke. I swear I'm leaving somebody out, and I'm sorry to the team if I do, but without them, we wouldn't be here.
Trey, 3rd place run for you. Congratulations. Solid day, and looking forward to seeing you next Tuesday night at Phoenix. I think that track one that's going to be potentially a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, we're going to be on the new surface. I haven't turned too many laps there. I think I ran probably 1 or 2 races in the truck, and it looks good. It's a nice track, but I'm not sure what to expect out of the Gen 6 next week. So we'll find out, that's for sure.
That's Trey Edson. He comes home with a 3rd place result tonight. And going a little bit further down pit road, Evan Pasoko, I'm going to throw it to you because we're catching up with another driver, I believe Tyler Hill, who had kind of an up and down night, but ended up finishing solid there at the end.
We've caught up on pit road with the driver of the number 9 machine, Tyler Hill. Tyler, going to be a P7 result for you after gritting up in a number 8 position, so you pretty much finished where you started. It was a little bit of an adventurous night for you and your team. Got some back-end damage. Were able to fight through that, and with this race really only having 1 caution, excluding the one at the end there, how were you able to fight your way through to manage to walk away with the top 10 to get this thing kicked off?
Well, thanks for having me on. We had a pretty good qualifying spot. I was really happy with that, and I was really pumped, and I went out and I was trying a little too hard early on, and I feel like I burnt my stuff up maybe a little bit early, and put us into a strategy where we wanted to pit a little bit earlier, get some tires on it, and try and make up some more time there. But we had that one caution that got us to where we needed to take the wave around, and that got us way, way, way behind. It was a struggle from there. We had to drive really hard, and we got into a couple of 3 wide positions that, got us really, really bound up. And we're just fighting our way back through, and we ended up, P7 there. I'm going to be happy with that. I think we could have finished top 5 had we not had that one caution, but it's a good day overall, and we'll move on to the next race.
Rolling into this, transferring through the NIS from 2014, your expectations obviously going to be wanting to get that ticket to end past 2015, but obviously the championship has to be in the back of your mind. The solid finish tonight, you talk about how you felt like you had a top 5 car. What are your expectations for you and then for your team as well, per se, going into this season?
Well, I have to get my success to Cody Bias Racing overall. If you look where we finished, we had 2 guys in the top 5. I was there 7th, and we had Tyler. He just had a little bit of tough luck, got some damage, and fell back there at the end. We could have had 4 guys in the top 10 right there, and I feel like that says a lot about our team.
Before we let you go, 1 week time, going to be race number 2 on this 2014-2015 campaign. Going to be Phoenix International Raceway. That's the new configuration with the paved dogleg there on the back straightaway. Your thoughts and your confidence level rolling into race 2?
I'm very excited with this start here. It takes a lot of pressure off of us. If you get off to a rough start, it's tough to come back. You feel like you're going to use your one drop race right there, and it's going to put you behind. But Phoenix, I think that's going to be a very interesting race, especially with the new configuration now. And that new dog leg, I feel like you'll probably end up seeing maybe 1 or 2 people try something there that might not work out great, and it may cause a few controversies. Hopefully, we're not involved in that.
All right, well, Tyler, before we let you go, I know you've talked about some of the people, sponsors, and shout-outs, everybody. Who makes it for you and the number 9 team made this possible?
Everybody at Cody Bias Racing works really hard, and, I've got U.S. Chrome on board. That was a sponsor that helped my brother quite a bit, so I just figured I'd lend a hand and put them on the car, give them some publicity. And now I'm a type 1 diabetic, so anytime I can put out a little bit of PR for juvenile diabetes, I'm going to do it. So that's why it's on board with us this year.
All right, well, congratulations, Tyler, on a solid kickoff to your 2014-2015 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series campaign. Thanks for having a word with us, and good luck rolling forward in the final 9 races of this season.
All righty, thank you.
That is it from down here. It is a P7 result for number 9 Cody Bias Racing entry of Tyler Hill, and the man of the hour that everybody wants to talk to, Jacob Seelman. You're down in victory lane. You've caught up with him. Checkered flag tonight. It's Tyler Hudson.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is a little bit of a celebration. Tyler Hudson, after the 2013 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series Championship, the 2014 season didn't go the way you planned, and you end up in the Pro Series, but you end up a winner in round 1 of the Pro Series, my friend. First off, congratulations. Second off, those last laps, what was it like from your point of view? Because from our point of view, we know it was exciting. How difficult was that tail end?
Oh man, difficult. That right there is what you do this for. I mean, it took everything I had to try to hold the lead. I was trying. I mean, I didn't feel like I was being dirty. I was just protecting the lead as best as I could, and coming off of 4 there, I tried to just hold it down. I know he wasn't beside me, and I didn't come down on him. So I mean, I did all I could do to keep the lead without doing anything I thought out of bounds or whatever. So I hate they got wrecked in it, and the other guys behind Corey, that really sucks to see it end that way. But I'm just really happy to be in victory lane, and can't thank the team enough. It really goes out to them. They put so much work into it. They made all the calls during the race. We adjusted on the car during the race. They deserved it more than me. They deserved the win, and I'm glad we were able to get it.
Tyler, I have to ask you because we know how much the 2014 season wasn't what you had hoped it would be here on the service. Is this a little bit of redemption tonight, coming out and saying we're back, this 0-1 team?
Well, I mean, it started off really good, and honestly, just life got in the way. I mean, there was nothing else. It wasn't like I felt like I wasn't running good or whatever the case. Just had so much going on that I needed the break. And after the 2013 season, I mean, to run up front, Michael Conti can tell you it takes a lot out of you. At least it does for me to fight for that championship and all that. And it was just really nice to take a break from it. To not spend so many hours on here every night practicing and all that stuff. But I did miss it, and I'm glad to be back. It's nice to be back in the Pro Series and hopefully get to that next level and compete again. But yeah.
Next week we go to Phoenix, Tyler, and we know that's a mile track that races pretty much like a short track. We know how difficult it can be to navigate, and we know sometimes it's turned into a caution fest at the pro and DWC level. Are you worried at all going into next week that there may be a bump maybe from that 10 going forward, or do you think you guys will be able to sort it out before next week?
Well, it's certainly possible, but maybe if he looks at the replay, I mean, I don't know anybody that would have done anything differently. Like I said, I didn't feel like I did anything dirty. I was just trying to protect the lead. If he had gotten beside me, I would have, yielded the lane, but he was never actually there. So, I don't know. I think he can learn from it. I'm not going to race anybody, bad. If he wants to race that way, we'll just deal with it then. But I'm looking forward to Phoenix. It's a nice little kind of a short track. Got a little bit of braking. I like using the brakes and having to wheel the car. And the team works. If they work as hard as we did at Texas, I'm sure we can get out there with another decent run. If maybe get lucky with a win.
Before we let you go, sponsors, shout-outs. A win is always a time to celebrate, and there's a lot of people that go into this. Who makes it happen for you and the 0-1 team?
Yeah, I just want to thank the Sim Pit. They came on board this year. New paint scheme, new sponsor. I've ran. It's actually my old sponsor. I've had him on for years, so this is definitely a new look for me. TheSimPit.com. Y'all check them out. Sean Cole, those guys are awesome. Of course, my team, Trifecta Race Group. Really, this wins for them. That's all I can say about it. They won that race for me. I was just a lucky guy to sit behind the wheel. That's all that was. And I think they deserved it. They deserved the win. So I'm glad I was able to get it for them.
What a night. Tyler Hudson, the first winner of the 2014 NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Tyler, congratulations again from all of us at LSRTV, and looking forward to seeing you next week at Phoenix.
Thank you, guys. I look forward to it. Hope y'all enjoyed the race.
I'm going to throw it now down. I believe our fourth place finisher down on pit road, Teemu Ivonen, is going to catch up with Petey Zeller. Petey, you're down there. You've been down there this whole race, and now I'll give you a chance to catch up with some of our top finishers, because this 99 car, he had kind of an eventful night.
I have Teemu Ivonen. You got a copy?
I got you, Petey.
Well, you brought it home in fourth tonight. You had a good run. We saw you around the top 10 for a lot of the night. Very eventful race. Take us through your race.
Well, race was good.
Oh, Teemu. So it must be very late right now for you. It's around 6 a.m. where you are in Finland right now. What's it like racing so early in the morning?
It's not too bad. A bit tired, but it's okay.
How did you manage to make it through that final wreck in the closing laps?
Well, I got stuck in that, but the car was still okay, so I could bring it home.
Alright, well, I can imagine you're very tired right now, so who makes it happen before you?
Lastro Motorsports, of course, for the setup. Joey did a great job on that, and vracing.se, and thanks to Inex Racing for support and Club Finland for support.
Alright, that was our 4th place finisher tonight, Team Uivonen. And now we're going to send it down to Evan on pit road. He's caught up with our 21st place finisher with Nick Morse.
I was like, I'm not spinning.
Yeah, we're down on here pit road with our 21st place finisher, Nicholas Morse. Nick, not the finish that you were looking for by any means. Going to be a P21 result for you after being 16th fastest in the qualifying session. Going to end up towards the tail end of the lead lap. Walk us through your race and what ended up with this result for you and the team.
Yeah, I'm actually happy, and sorry I was talking to Casey there when you guys walked up. I'm actually happy. 21st is not bad, considering all the mistakes I made. I got caught a lap down in 12th place, and then I was off sequence the rest of the race on old tires. Almost spun Laughlin, so I need to apologize to him. And I was just trying too hard, and I just ended up scraping the wall a few times. So I was very happy with the car. I was driving forward. I did not have a winning car, but I thought I had a top 10 one for sure. And I'm happy. I got to thank Madwire for sponsoring me again this year and giving me another shot and stepping up and sponsoring the race. But happy, had a lot of fun. I saw a lot of respect out there in the field. I'm happy about that. I think this group of pro drivers is really good, and it's good to see that. So I'm pleased. If I finish 21st all year, I'll make DWC, and that's what I'm looking for. Last year I missed 3 races, and I had 4 last place finishes. So I've definitely took a step in the right direction, and I'm definitely pleased with my result. And hopefully we do better next week at Phoenix if I just don't make so many mistakes.
Cutting down on the mistakes and trying to get everything off as smoothly as possible, definitely one of the key factors. You talk about next week, it is going to be Phoenix. One of the hot topics is the new figuration of Phoenix that's being put for race 2 here on the season. How much experience do you have with that track? Still relatively new to iRacing, and how confident are you? What do you expect out of the team going into that one?
Obviously when we have Joey Brown on the team, we're always going to be very competitive. I've ran a few laps there, and it's a lot of fun cutting through the dog leg. I don't know if we're allowed to. I need to see what the rules package is next week. But you can get down on 1 or 2 lanes below on the apron in turn 3 and 4, and it'll still stick. You'll be maybe a tenth or 2 slower, but you can definitely make some passes down there. So if we see the racing we saw today, it'll be a great race next week. And even though it's only 1 groove, because it's so fast, and if you get out of that groove, you push like a dump truck. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to it. I've always loved Phoenix, and I'm definitely looking forward to running a new track, and I'm glad iRacing brought it to the service.
Before we let you get back to the team down there on pit road and head out of here to call it a night, sponsors and shout-outs, who makes it happen for you and the team?
I want to thank Madwire Media and Marketing360.com. Madwire is the #1 digital platform for increasing sales for small and medium-sized businesses. And they have a deal to where if you sign up with Madwire during the course of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series, you'll get a free website, which is valued at $2,200. So I want to thank Madwire for that. I want to thank Marketing360.com, and I want to thank Last Row Motorsports, especially Joey Brown, PJ, and Jake, who put in a lot of work this week, along with Charlie Foster. I'm really happy to be here. I'm happy I got another pro license, and thank you guys for the broadcast.
All right, well, thanks for taking a moment with us, Nicholas, and good luck rolling forward in the season.
Yep, thanks, guys.
That's it down here from Pit Lane. Title sponsor for tonight's race on the side of the number 44 Chevrolet. Going to be a P21 result after a lot of climb back up to the field, trying to recover from errors. Nicholas Morse, P21 tonight, Jacob.
Yeah, and with that, let's take a look down. The double clutch full field rundown one final time, and it's Tyler Hudson in the SDC Motorsports 01 who takes it to victory lane under caution here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. Justin Trombley coming home in P2 tonight. Trey Eidson, we talked to him. He was 3rd, Team Uivonen coming home 4th, and 5th tonight for Benjamin Burmeister. Patrick Crabtree is 6th tonight. Tyler Hill, spoke with him as well. He's 7th. Kevin King, an 8th place result. Brian Schoenberg coming home 9th, and 10th tonight, Evan, was Stephen Gilbert.
It was going to be an 11th place. Great finish for the 48 of Brandon Chaburko. Just talked to him moments ago while we were running through everybody, and he was very pleased with that P11 result for him. Casey Tucker going to come home with a 12th place result. How about Rob Ackley? Started in 30th, going to be a 13th place finish for him. Alex Scribners will slide back and will recover for a 14th place result. 15th position, one of the biggest movers in the race, Sasso Wessler, after starting way back on row 20. P15 result for that team. 16th would go to Steven Enzayo. 17th to Tyler Laughlin. Taylor Hurst with the 18th position. 19th would go to Brandon Hoff. And rounding out the top 20, one of our front runners slid back through the latter stages. 20th position to Greg McKinney.
In 21st, we just talked to Nicholas Morse. In 22nd, Richard Doucette. In the 09 and 23rd is David Rattler. Brandon Bowie brought his car home in 24th tonight. Alan Bowes in 25th. Robin Williams in 26th. In the 83, the Thomas Davis brought home in 27th. Joey Brown, has never quite recovered from that wreck, brought it home in 28th tonight. Ryan Lowe brought home in 29th. And rounding out your field in the finish in 30th is Jordy Lopez Jr.
Yeah, Matt Spangler, 31st tonight. 32nd is Landon Harrison. Brandon Hawk, 33rd. 34th to Ashley Miller. Charlie Foster was 35th. 36th was Josh Berry after being involved in that crash, along with Corey Vincent, who was 37th tonight. Mitchell Hunt, another one of those guys involved in the late race fireworks. He is 38th. 39th to Kyle McCormick, and 40th to Nathan Wise. Shane Doherty, Kwame Ajay, and Brandon Cattell round out the 43-car field, and we had 22 cars finish on the lead lap tonight. I'm going to go around the table real quick. First, Michael Conti, to you, any final thoughts on your end? What a night.
I mean, what started out as a pretty calm race definitely turned into a show at the end there, guys. I mean, I couldn't believe how that all kind of got really strung out, and then it all kind of came back together at the end. And man, I just wish they wouldn't all wrecked up there, because that was shaping up to be a really good finish. 4-car race for the win at Texas. Everybody trying to get that first pro win of the 2014-15 season. They were definitely going to put on a show for us, but they did. I mean, they couldn't finish under green, but. What we had up until that point was great. Everybody did a good job tonight. Tyler Hudson played the strategy perfectly, propelled him to a win, and a great start to try to climb his way back into the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. So 1 week's time, we'll go to Phoenix and look for the same people to be fast again. Probably Corey Vincent's going to be out to prove that Texas wasn't a fluke, and maybe we'll see him come away with the win next week. You never know.
Yeah, I was talking to Corey for just a moment, and he respectfully declined on-air comment, but said next week is going to be about redemption. I think that's the word that's going to be ringing for several of these top finishers who ended up getting collected there late. Evan Pasoko, boy, we've seen a lot on LSRTV, but I don't know that I've seen anything quite like that.
I don't know what that was, but that happened. That's our tagline here, and it fits right into that. And just like Michael said there, down at the end of the race, it was a green flag race. We saw the green flag runs, the green flag pit stops. The strategy call at the end gave Tyler Hudson a shot at taking home the checkered flag. If he didn't pull that strategy card, he wouldn't have been up in that mix, I don't think, and he would have had to settle for, maybe a top 10 run, depending on where he would have left pit road if he went with 4. So you got to love it. We talked about it. Do we see 2 tires? And we said it wasn't going to work, and it came down to those final 5 laps, contact, controversy, not much more you can ask for. But one of the telling things out of this, and it was echoed by a lot of the drivers, is we had no cars finish behind the wall. Cattell was 35 laps down, 23 laps down was Kwame Ajay, but he was still on pit road, still trying to get that engine fixed there. But there was no drivers that had left and gotten it officially retired, exited the sim behind the wall. So all 43 cars were still out there on track in some sort of way at the end, which tells a lot to the group of guys that have been assembled for this 2014-2015 group.
It's been a lot of fun, and coming up now in 1 week's time, we are going to go 250 kilometers as opposed to miles, 156 laps when we take the green flag for the PlanBSales.com 250 from Phoenix International Raceway, the new configuration and the jewel in the desert. So we look ahead to that on November 11th, and it all starts at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time with the Double Clutch pre-race show, half an hour leading into a broadcast of Race 2 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series presented by Double Clutch Season. And guys, it's been a whole lot of fun. I've enjoyed it, and we'll be back to do it all again next Tuesday night, rather. So for my broadcast partners up here in the booth, Evan Pasoko, and our driver analyst, Michael Conti, for Petey Zeller down on pit road, for our executive producer, Laura Lawson, and all the behind-the-scenes staff, including Kyle Gilbert and Carl Jones, who helped make tonight's broadcast possible. I'm Jacob Seelman. Race fans, keep it off the wall until we meet again, and we'll see you next time on the web. Have a safe night, everybody. Good night from Texas.